Warrior Lore. Chapter 4167. Wuyo smiled. His smile was very happy. The monk also smiled. He was very pleased with himself. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have the same look in their eyes. They looked at each other as if they were idiots. Wuyo said, "It seems that you're very confident." Monk said, "Of course I'm confident. So I want you to remember that your death is because of me." 3 streams of light came from afar and landed in front of Monk. Shengyuan looked around and found something unusual. He cried out, "Something's wrong. Something happened here." Monk was puzzled. Shengyuan said, "The aura of the senior brother guarding here has disappeared." Monk's face changed. That was a 9-star saint spirit. Not to mention how powerful his combat strength was, he had many life-saving means. It could be said that the people of the Buddha clan who came here could be seriously injured, but it was impossible to kill them. But now, the aura of the 9-star saint spirit had disappeared and a demon was standing on the mountain peak. What did this mean? Monk had a bad feeling in his heart. "Look, you can't laugh now, right?" Wuyo pointed at himself and said, "And I'm still so happy. I thought it was strange before, but I didn't know the reason. Now I know that our people didn't meet anyone along the way." Monk's face changed several times. Could it be that they were also killed? Wuyo snapped his fingers at Monk. "That's right. Those nearby should be dead. So we found some bait from afar. But this time, I'm the most satisfied." Wuyo looked at Zichun and the other two. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. "Emo Luoning, you've done a good job." Emo Luoning, who led Monk here, was very excited. Wuyo waved his hand, and Emo Luoning immediately retreated. He stood aside and prepared to collect the 4 corpses. Zichen's eyes fell on Mount Wuyo below. With his soul perception, he found something strange. "Are the 3 of you coming together? Or all together?" Wuyo said with a smile, but his eyes lingered on Qingyi and Shengyuan. He ignored Zichun. He didn't need to look at a mere 7-star saint spirit. Unexpectedly, the woman who didn't look weak actually took the initiative to say, "This has nothing to do with me. I'm just here for sightseeing." She immediately took a step back and stood next to the monk. "Oh, that's interesting." Wuyu smiled. Then, he looked at Shengyuan and said, "Then, it's you?" Shengyuan put his palms together and said, "Ba, I'm just a guide this time." The saint source also retreated. This made Wuyo even more surprised. He could only look at Zichun, who had not looked at him directly even once. "What about you? Is the excuse a passerby or something else?" Zichun took a step forward and said, "I am the one who wants your life." Wuyo was slightly taken aback. "Is your brain damaged? Are you starting to talk nonsense?" Zichun pointed down and said, "That blood contains pure Buddhist power. You must have killed quite a few Buddhas here, right? Therefore, you are destined to die." To be so arrogant, he's either a fool or an idiot, Wuyo said disdainfully. Even though he said that, he still made his move first. Demonic Qi rolled and instantly moved forward like a black fog. Qingyi and the other 2 retreated and took the initiative to give up the battlefield. Zichun was immediately shrouded by the black fog. The black fog was rolling violently, and sometimes powerful aftershocks were stirred up. This is not ordinary demonic Qi. This is called demonic cloud insect. Wuyo looked at Zichun, who was already shrouded in the black fog, and explained, "Once the demonic cloud insect attaches itself to you, you will die. That's how the 9-star cultivator died last time." Qingyi and the other 2 retreated again. They had no intention of helping. The surging black fog gradually quieted down. Wuyo looked at this scene and was even more disdainful. "This is your strength? There were 2 5-star cultivators in front of you who could still struggle a little, but you can't even make a splash. It seems that in this place, without relics, your combat strength will be greatly reduced." Suddenly, the black fog began to shrink rapidly and disappeared quickly. "This is impossible." Wuyo's expression couldn't help but change. He could no longer maintain his previous calmness because he sensed that the demonic cloud insect's life force was disappearing. Zichun stepped forward and walked out of the black fog. The black fog, which had already solidified, fell to the ground. Wuyo's expression turned cold when he saw that all the demonic cloud insects he refined had died. Do you know how precious those demonic cloud insects are? How dare you kill them all? Zichun said indifferently, at this time, shouldn't you be worried about your own life the most? The two rushed forward at almost the same time. Die! Wuyo threw a punch. Endless demonic chi surged, and the whole world became dark. Zichun also threw a punch, and there was the sound of rolling thunder. When the two fists met, the whole world fell silent. Then, a powerful explosion occurred, and countless waves of chi retreated with a powerful force. Wuyo's body was sent flying for hundreds of meters. After stabilizing his body, his expression changed again. In the distance, Emo Luoning, who was waiting to collect the corpse, also had a shocked expression. Last time, the 9-star divine spirit secretly guarding this place couldn't send His Excellency flying. He didn't expect that this person, who was only in the 7-star realm, could have such means. At this moment, Emo Luoning had some misconceptions. Could it be that having hair made the spirit ray stronger? After all, their opponents had always been hairless. Waves of pain came from his right arm, so Wuyo didn't want to continue to fight with his opponent. If they exchanged another blow, his arm would probably be shattered. In terms of physical strength, he was obviously weaker. Wuyo had killed many 7-star spirit race, but this was the first time he had killed someone with such powerful strength. Since attacking didn't work, he decided to attack from afar. Demonic chi surged around his body and gradually turned into a black flame. He looked at Zichun and said coldly, "This is the demon race's positive demonic fire. Although it's still one level away from the highest level 9, it's enough to kill a 7-star like you. Before you die, do you have any last words?" Flames? I have some too. Thunder fire appeared in Zichun's palm, and an ancient aura began to spread. I'll take these as your last words. The demonic fire on Wuyo's body twisted and left his body, turning into a huge palm, and went straight for Zichun. Demonic flame palm. Not only was its power extraordinary, but its speed was also its strength. Almost in an instant, it was in front of Zichun. However, just as it was about to grab Zichun, a palm made of thunder fire appeared out of thin air and collided with the demonic flame palm. Boom! The two huge palm prints collapsed at the same time, forming a powerful wave that flooded the surroundings, including Zichun. Wuyo snorted coldly once more, and then his pupils constricted. He saw a straight ray of light suddenly rush out from the turbulent energy, like a golden lightning, and arrived in front of Wuyo. Wuyo's expression changed drastically, and a light screen appeared in front of him. The golden light approached with an indomitable will. Slap! The light screen shattered instantly. The golden light disappeared. Wuyo's body was suspended in midair, and his chest was pierced by a black spear. The turbulent energy dissipated, and layers of ripples surged for nearly 1,000 feet before disappearing. The world suddenly became quiet, so quiet that it was hard for people to get used to it. Emo Luoning covered his mouth and tried very hard not to cry out in surprise. The invincible master in his eyes had been pierced through the chest by a 7-star spirit race. Behind him, Sheng Yuan shouted Ba. It was the first time Tyrant saw Zichun fight. Although it was expected, he was still very surprised. Qingyi's expression changed slightly, as if she was a little surprised. You're very fast, but unfortunately, compared to me, you're still a little slow. A faint voice sounded. It was Wuyo. It came from the sky. Wuyo, who was in front of the spear, turned into a piece of demonic jade and shattered with a bang. Zichun looked up at the sky. He saw a huge net falling from the sky. What made up the net was not threads, but countless blades, connected head to tail. Wuyo stood in the sky and looked down at Zichun. His gaze was cold, as if he was looking at a dead man. The space around Zichun was being compressed intensely, making it impossible for him to escape. It seemed like he could only be trapped in the net. Sheng Yuan was a little worried. As a mighty figure of the Buddha race, he did not notice when Wuyo dodged. If the two of them were to fight, he would have to admit that he was already dead. He was a little worried for Zichun. At this moment, Zichun put away his spear, and a sacred talisman brush appeared in his hand. He drew the brush. A straight ray of light shot out from the tip of the brush, as if it was the most beautiful ray of light in the world, rising into the sky. Wherever the ray of light passed, the space was split into two. Since it could even slice space, this black net was naturally nothing. The net was split in the middle, but the ray of light did not dissipate. Instead, it headed straight for Wuyo. Swoosh! The ray of light pierced through Wuyo's body. Blood splattered in the sky, but Wuyo's body was nowhere to be seen. Is this guy playing with disappearance? Tyrant muttered. Zichen's gaze fell on Mount Wuyo below. Since you want to lure me over, let's go take a look. Zichen descended from the sky and landed on Mount Wuyo. Tyrant, I'll leave that guy to you. It was Mo Luaneng who did not manage to escape in time. Don't worry, he's just a 4-star. Tyrant laughed and rushed towards Mo Luaneng. Come, let's see how I'll kill you. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Zichen landed on Mount Wuyo. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan followed him, and no one cared about Tyrant anymore. Is there something unusual here? Seeing that Zichen's gaze was fixed on a certain spot, Sheng Yuan asked. Zichen pointed the sacred talisman brush in his hand forward. Ripples surged out, and a passage appeared. Sheng Yuan's expression changed. At this moment, he finally understood the Buddha Lord's meaning. Zichen put away the sacred talisman brush, took out his spear and shield, and strode in. He was on high alert, but he did not encounter any surprise attacks during this period. When Zichen arrived at the interior of the mountain, what he saw was not billowing demonic aura, but pure Buddhist power. It was as if he had arrived at a certain Buddhist hall. Chapter 4168. The passage was deep, but it was not damp or dark. The surrounding Buddhist power was pure and dense, with a sacred aura. It was as if they had arrived at one of the Buddhist temples in the Buddhist city. Zichen was slightly stunned. This was not what he had imagined. Sheng Yuan, who had followed Zichen in, saw this scene and his expression changed. As a member of the Buddhist race, he knew very well what this meant. For a moment, his face was filled with grief, and even his body began to tremble. Zichen felt the abnormality behind him and turned to look at Sheng Yuan. Sheng Yuan said, to create a place with Buddhist power comparable to a Buddhist temple in an unfamiliar place, the first requirement is a huge Buddhist formation. Buddhist formation? Zichen said with some surprise. Are you saying that a member of the Buddhist race has betrayed us? Sheng Yuan said bitterly, a Buddhist formation is not something that can only be created by a member of the Buddhist race. It can be created by a Buddhist object. Zichen said, you mean the Saraira of the Buddhist race? There is a formation made of Saraira here? How many Saraira would that require? A Saraira represented the life of a Buddhist Holy Spirit. The amount of Saraira that could be used to create a formation was unimaginable. Such a big thing had happened, but the Buddhist race had no idea. What did this mean? What was Wu Yu's intention for purposely luring Zichen here? After Wu Yu entered the underground, he went straight to the core. That stroke earlier had clearly split his body into two. There was an independent space under the core. There were more than a dozen demons in this space, all of them at the 9-star level. In the center, there was an existence shrouded in a black robe, sitting cross-legged. There was a Buddhist formation below him. The formation was completely made of Saraira, and it rippled with boundless Buddhist light. There were nearly 1,000 of them. Sir. Wu Yu walked in and bowed respectfully to the black-robed man. You are injured, the black-robed man said indifferently. There is a powerful figure outside. I can't beat him, so I let him in. What? The black-robed man said in a serious tone. You let an outsider into our secret place? Do you know what this means? The gazes of the others that looked at Wu Yu also became ice-cold. This was the greatest secret of the demon race for tens of thousands of years. What was the point of drawing the enemy here? Wu Yu explained, there is a 9-star cultivator inside. As long as we take his relics, our mission will be considered complete. Luring them into this place and directly opening the door is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. There was only one last high-level Saraira left before the demon race's grand plan would succeed. A 9-star one was just right. The gazes of the others that looked at Wu Yu warmed up quite a bit. Where are they? The black-robed man asked. We should be here soon, Wu said. Why didn't you say so earlier? I'm going to kill them now. A demon said angrily as he walked out. Don't be impulsive, Wu shouted. He's really strong. That's because you were too weak. As soon as he finished speaking, his body flew backward and smashed into the Buddha formation. Everyone's expression changed as they looked towards the entrance. I was wondering where this was. So it was you who lured me to the Devil's Denver, a faint voice sounded as Zichun walked in. When everyone saw Zichun, their expressions changed. He was actually a 7-star cultivator. They looked at Wuyo. Wuyo said somewhat shamefully, That's him. They looked at their fallen comrade. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, and his face immediately turned pale. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan walked in. When they saw the number of people here, they were somewhat surprised. The black-robed man still had his back to the crowd. Both sides fell into silence, but this silence only lasted for a moment. Kill! A voice that no one knew who shouted broke the silence in this place. In an instant, all the demons moved. However, they didn't attack Zichun, but Sheng Yuan. Sheng Yuan's Saraira was something they had to get. Qing Yi quickly retreated and left through the entrance. Her reaction was extremely fast, and she had no intention of fighting. In contrast, Sheng Yuan called out a Buddhist name and humanely said, Benefactor, take care of yourself before retreating. Zichun stood at the entrance, a spear in one hand and a shield in the other, blocking all the attacks. In the next moment, a fierce battle broke out. The long spear in Zichun's hand rippled and quickly moved forward like a golden lightning. A 9-star demon's body was penetrated. This was only an external injury, so it shouldn't be able to kill a 9-star saint spirit. However, in the next moment, a strong force of death was stimulated from the long spear and poured into the demon's sea of consciousness. The demon's sea of consciousness seemed to have encountered a destructive storm. His powerful soul was constantly being torn apart, shattered, and eventually destroyed. This was Zichun's true combat strength. In the previous battle with Wuyo, he was actually still holding back. Zichun raised the light shield and blocked the attacks. Then, the long spear went straight for the chest of the second demon like a flood dragon. A long sword suddenly appeared in the demon's hand. He held the sword in front of him and blocked Zichun's spear. The powerful rebound force sent the demon's body flying backward. However, he also saved his life because of this. The battle was still going on, and powerful fluctuations continued to surge in this space that wasn't very big. The black-robed man was still sitting cross-legged with his back to everyone. The Saraira Buddha formation under him was intact. Qing Yi and Sheng Yuan stood outside. The two could no longer see the situation inside. Chapter 4169. Hearing Xing Yuan's exclamation, Zichun was surprised. Did they know each other? The black robe slid down his head, revealing the true appearance of the black-robed man. It was a bald monk. Zichun's expression changed. He was very surprised because the leader of the demons was a bald monk. Qing Yi was also very surprised. Shirshu Shengda, why are you here? Sheng Yuan recognized him and said in disbelief. Sheng Yuan, long time no see. Monk Shengda smiled as if he saw an old friend. Shirshu, why are you here? Sheng Yuan couldn't accept the scene in front of him. One called him Shirshu, while the other called him Shirshu. There seemed to be a problem in seniority, but Sheng Yuan didn't care about it. In the Buddha clan, and even in the entire Saint Spirit realm, because there were many forces and many seniority, most of the seniority was unified by realm. As Sheng Yuan, they were brothers of the same sect. Sheng Yuan used to be called Wu Yuan, and Sheng De was his Shirshu. After he became a Sheng Yuan, he became a Sheng Yuan in the Buddha clan, the same generation as Sheng De. But in his heart, he had always respected this legendary Shirshu and had never changed the way he addressed him. Shirshu Shengda was very famous in the Buddha clan. Even though he had fallen many years ago, he was still not forgotten. At least, he was not forgotten by the people on this battlefield. Because the first large-scale battle was because Shirshu Shengda, a 9-star Xingyuan, had died on Carefree Mountain. At that time, Shirshu Shengda was the first to discover the secret of Carefree Mountain and destroyed the demon's invasion plan. Sheng Yuan looked at the relics on the ground and then at Shirshu Shangda sitting cross-legged on them. His heart was very complicated, and he didn't know what to say. Those relics were all disciples of the Buddha clan. He couldn't even blame them. The hero of the past had suddenly become an accomplice of the devil race, and he was constantly killing his own fellow disciples. Monk, did you do this? At this moment, Zichun suddenly spoke. Shangda looked at Zichun and asked, Benefactor, have you recovered? Zichun said, I haven't fully recovered yet, but it should be enough to deal with you alone. Monk Shangda put his palms together and said, Lao Na has been here for too long. I didn't know that such a young hero had appeared in the Saint Spirit Jia. How should I address this young benefactor? Zichun said, Holy Thunder Clan. Zichun, Monk Shangda said, looks like you are indeed a young hero. Lao Na admires you. Zichun looked at Shangda and said, Can you explain what is going on? Would you like to hear it? Shangda raised his head and looked at Zichun. Actually, I don't really want to hear it, Zichun said, but I always feel that it's a bit of a pity to beat you to death like this. Why don't you share your story with us so we can have an audience? Seeing this, Shang Yuan's eyes lit up again. I'll have to start many years ago. It's a long story. I wonder if Benefactor has the patience. Don't worry, it's good that you're a bit older. At least you'll be able to die a bit later. Shangda smiled. Benefactor is very kind. There was a look of reminiscence in the old monk's eyes. Many years ago, the Buddhist race had just discovered this battlefield. Because they had never dealt with the demon race before, they suffered great losses in their first battle. The battle was extremely tragic. Countless Buddhist race experts died. At that time, the demon race had occupied this place for a long time. This battlefield could be considered their camp, and we were just outsiders. After countless years of battle, the Buddhist race relied on the fearless sacrifice of countless disciples to gradually exterminate the demon race. This was the first time Shangda had heard about the early days of the battlefield, so he listened very carefully. Zichun and Qingyi didn't disturb him. They just followed the old monk's train of thought. The demon race was very strong, and they were good at bewitching people. The Buddhist race disciples suffered great losses. As for those who gave birth to inner demons, some could be reborn, and some would die under them. The old monk's smile suddenly became a bit strange. And some would be assimilated and controlled by inner demons. Zichun said, So, you are the latter? The old monk said, Sort of. Zichun was somewhat puzzled. What did he mean by sort of? That year, my junior apprentice brother and I came to this battlefield to participate in the battle. We saw the demon race's defeat, but the clever junior apprentice brother guessed that the demon race seemed to have another hiding place. So, when the two of us were fighting, we carefully looked for suspicious places. Finally, we found this carefree mountain. What followed was the first battle of extermination. It was recorded in the history of the Buddhist race, so Shangda was very clear about it. In that battle, the Buddhist race had suffered great losses, but they had destroyed the demon race's plan to invade. Since then, Carefree Mountain had been the focus of the Buddhist race's attention. But this was what the world knew. What Shangda was about to tell everyone next was another secret. After the battle began, Junior Apprentice Brother felt that this was not the demon race's secret place. Or it could be said that this was just bait deliberately used by the demon race. At that time, Junior Apprentice Brother decided to take the risk and use the demon race's inner demons to control him. He joined the demon race and unearthed the demon race's greatest secret, completely destroying the demon race's scheme. The expressions of the three changed at the same time. Obviously, the truth was about to surface. But I was the senior apprentice brother. How could I watch junior apprentice brother take the risk? So I took the initiative to trigger the inner demons and used the first battle to fake my death, forever staying on this battlefield. Once again recalling the past, the old monk's smile became somewhat bitter. At that time, junior apprentice brother and I discussed many countermeasures, many possibilities, and many secret signals. But we still underestimated the demon race's strength and their vigilance. For many years, we still couldn't find an opportunity, so the inner demons kept invading us, causing us to completely lose our chance. The old monk let out a sigh. I lost contact with junior apprentice brother, and for the sake of the demon race's so-called test, I walked further and further down the path of becoming a demon. In the end, I was unable to turn back. I knew you old thief were up to no good. You ruined our demon race's great plan. We won't let you off. A cold voice suddenly rang out. One of the people who had fallen dead suddenly rushed toward the entrance. It was Carefree. He had actually faked his death. Zichun turned around, wanting to chase after him. Let him go, the old monk said. I've already grasped all the secrets of this place. I've also learned of the demon race's plan to invade the Saint Spirit realm. This time, I've already completely destroyed it. Of course, Zichun wouldn't listen to the old monk, because the monk was still outside. Who knew whether or not Carefree would kill the monk in a fit of anger after he went out. He didn't think that a mere 3-star monk could block the opponent's attack. But as soon as Zichun moved, Carefree's voice rang out. Hee, so there was one hidden here. Then I'll use you to exchange for the demon race's great plan. Chapter 4170. Aren't you surprised? Aren't you pleasantly surprised? I'm back? Wuyo grabbed the monk by the neck and walked back in. He looked at the people in the hall with a smile, especially Zichun. Zichun sighed and said, You shouldn't have come back. Isn't it better to just leave and live? Why do you have to send yourself to death? Bah. Live? Today, not only do I want to live, but I also want to carry out the demon race's 10,000-year plan. As for sending yourself to death, you're talking about this idiot, aren't you? Waiting for me to catch him? Wuyo grabbed the monk's neck with all his strength. The monk's face was filled with pain. He looked at Zichun and said, My eyesight has been extraordinary since I was young. I can see many things that ordinary people can't. So you don't have to deny my words. I can see that he's very important to you. Now, listen to my orders. If you want him to live, kill this 9-star. Zichun's expression was a little strange. Are you serious? Wuyo said angrily. Do you think I'll joke with you at this time? If you don't do as I say, he'll have to die. Are you sure? Zichun looked at him. Wuyo exerted strength again. There were already cracking sounds coming from the monk's neck, as if it was about to break. The monk also cried out in pain. Wuyo was very satisfied. He looked at Zichun proudly. What's the choice? It's up to you. Shangming put his palms together. Ba, benefactor. Wuyo interrupted him. You have no right to speak here. Shut up. Shangming didn't say anything else. Qingyi took 2 steps back. She used her actions to show that she didn't want to participate in this matter. Monk Shangde was like a storyteller. He also watched silently. Because there was no audience for the time being, he didn't continue. Everyone looked at Zichun, waiting for his reply. Zichun looked at the monk and said, I want to thank you for sacrificing yourself for the Buddha race. Would you be happy? The monk's eyes widened. Why? Are you trying to kill me? Zichun said indifferently, Sacrifice is inevitable. Who among us doesn't sacrifice? Who among us? Listening to the conversation between the two, Wuyo suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. At that moment, Zichun made his move. The spear in his hand thrust forward with great force. He wasn't aiming at Wuyo, but at the monk. At such a close distance, the monk couldn't dodge in time and his body was pierced through by the spear. Puff. The spear had completely penetrated the monk's body. The monk's eyes were wide open as he looked at Zichun in disbelief. It was as if he couldn't believe that Zichun would make a move just like that. He hadn't even finished his sentence. Zichun stood in front of the monk, the other end of the spear almost touching the monk's body. I told you, you shouldn't have come back. Zichun loosened his grip on the spear and pushed it forward. The spear pierced through the monk's chest. Wuyo, who was standing behind the monk, took a few steps back. He grabbed his spear with both hands and stared at Zichun. Earlier, the spear had not only pierced through the monk's body, it had also pierced through his body. His eyesight was not bad. He knew very well that this fellow before him cared a lot about that baldy. But how could this be? Ba. Shangming and Shangde chanted the name of Buddha at the same time. The monk fell to the ground. Aren't you too ruthless? Do you have to make a move like this? I have plenty of ways to resolve this matter peacefully. Zichun said, Isn't this faster and more effective? Besides, you didn't lose anything other than a superficial wound, right? I've saved your trump card for you. Why aren't you thanking me? I'm thanking you for dying. You're just jealous. Jealous that your Lord Zhang is handsome and confident. Jealous that your Lord Zheng's dharma is boundless. The monk praised himself and then began to heal his wounds. After all, it wasn't appropriate for the wound to keep bleeding. Zichen's control of his strength was exquisite. The monk had indeed suffered a superficial wound. As for Wuyo, he was really dead this time. Zichen walked to Wuyo's side, pulled out the spear, and put it away. He returned to his original spot and looked at the old monk, indicating for him to continue the story. Actually, the story was about to end at this point. Monk Shangda passed all kinds of tests and gained the trust of the devil race. So they brought him to the real secret place and shared the secrets of the devil race. Shangda used the dharma he mastered to build a Sarira Buddhist formation here. He wanted to help the devil race open a path to the two worlds. Right now, he only needed a high-quality Sarira to open the path. Who would have thought that before he could get the last Sarira, Zichen would come first and wipe them all out? Monk Shangda put his palms together and finished the story. Shangming stood there, not knowing what to say. Qingyi was touched. She also didn't know how to distinguish right from wrong in this matter. Zichen said, "The story is very interesting. You can come with us." Shangda asked, "Benefactor, why don't you kill me directly?" Zichen said, "This is a matter of the Buddha race. It should be arranged by the Buddha race. I have no right to interfere." Of course, he didn't want to interfere. Benefactor is very kind. Shangda's body suddenly burned with flames. It was supposed to be pure Buddha fire, but now it was mixed with black devil qi. He really didn't suppress his inner demons. "Martial uncle, what do you mean?" Shangming said anxiously, "We'll talk about it when we get back." "We can't go back. It's also good to die here. After I die, destroy everything here and bring these Sariras back. They are not contaminated." Shangda put his palms together and chanted a Buddhist name. The raging Buddha demon fire completely drowned him. Qingyi was deeply touched. She could feel the power of the other party. It seemed that he was only half a step away from becoming a holy venerable. Once he overcame his inner demons, he might be able to take that half a step and become a holy venerable. Unfortunately, he made another choice. This monk's sin is unforgivable. This is the best outcome. The Buddha demon fire had completely swallowed Shangda. His voice came from the flames. Zichen stood there, put his palms together, and bowed to the old monk. At this moment, his heart was filled with admiration for the old monk. He respected Shangda's choice. Shangming and the good and evil monks sat down and began to chant for Shangda. A holy aura shrouded the surroundings. Even the corpses were glowing with Buddhist light. Zichen and Qingyi left. They didn't expect their trip to turn out like this. Actually, he didn't have to choose this path. He just has to be good. Qingyi said, "This way, the Buddhist race might have another holy venerable." Zichen shook his head and said, "After returning, he will keep blaming himself. In the end, he will either be swallowed by his inner demons or die of depression. However, the possibility of him advancing is not high." "Why?" Qingyi asked in confusion. "Are you sure he didn't kill those monks?" "He didn't kill them, but they died because of him." Each of those Sariras represented a holy spirit of the Buddhist race. Although that was the case, Zichen felt regretful. He said that he wanted to bring the old monk back. Wasn't he trying to give him a chance to live? Unfortunately, the old monk refused. He respected the other party's choice. An hour later, the monk and Shangming walked out. There was a Sarira in Shangming's hand. It was emitting a demonic light. Chapter 4171. Everything underground was destroyed. Shangming brought the corpses out. As for Shangda and Shangling, there was only one bone-grinding relic left. On the way back, everyone was speechless. Even the talkative monk seemed to be silent. The truth of the past, the death of his fellow clansmen, and Shangda made his heart heavy. After returning to the Buddha tribe, Shangming went to see the Buddha Lord. Zichen and the other two returned to the monk's residence. Shangming brought the bone-grinding relic and the other relics to the Buddha Lord and told him what happened. The Buddha Lord took the bone-grinding relic with a complicated expression. In the end, he sighed. The Buddha Lord asked, "Did senior brother say anything?" Shangming suddenly understood. That junior brother of his was the current Buddha Lord. And this time, the Buddha Lord allowed Zichun to enter the battlefield. It was definitely not a coincidence. He intended to let Zichun handle this matter. Perhaps the death of the 9-star clansman was a signal sent by Uncle Shengda. As for why he did not send a large force to clean up, it should be because he was afraid of alerting the enemy. A world's strongest Zichun was just right. Sheng Ming shook his head. Even when he left in the end, Uncle Sheng did not say anything. The Buddha Lord waved his hand gently. Sheng Ming left the room. He had other arrangements for the other relics. Zichun planned to stay here for a few more days. After that, he bid farewell to the monk. After all, the monk was only at the 3-star realm. He still needed time to grow. Who knew that at this moment, Sheng Ming came to look for Zichun again. This time, he sent a message to Zichun. The message came from a few big clans. All of them said that Zichun should not go there. Because everyone was in seclusion, he could not meet them even if he went. It was obvious that the big clans had been paying attention to the movements of Zichun, the number 1 person. Demon Ape, Wang Xian Zhang Haoyan, and the others were all in seclusion. When the monk heard the news, he chuckled and said, "Seems like you can't go anywhere. You should continue to stay here." Zichun was helpless. It seemed like the plan to go out had to be terminated. "Oh, right. Why don't you stay in the Buddha tribe? I'll arrange a position for you," the monk suggested again. Zichun did not agree. In the outer city, in an inn, a middle-aged man sat in a room drinking tea. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. The middle-aged man put down his teacup and said lightly, "Come in." A man walked in, closed the door and said, "Sir, there is still no news of Zichun." The middle-aged man said indifferently, "If there's no news, it means that Zichun is still in the core area. Have someone continue to investigate and report back as soon as there's any news." Yes. The other party left, and the door closed once again. The middle-aged man picked up his teacup again and sneered, "Zichun, it's your bad luck that you ran into us this time. No matter how strong you are, we can still refine you." Qingyi was very interested in the Buddhist halls. Therefore, in the next few days, the group was looking at the Buddhist halls and eating Buddhist food. Although there was no meat, the taste was still very good. Qingyi observed very carefully. She wanted to see some kind of enlightenment from the arrangement of these Buddhist halls. During this time, she would also ask Monk about some things. Unfortunately, Monk did not know much about it and could not explain it himself. 5 days later, Zichun decided to leave. "Where are you going?" Monk asked. Since his plan to find his friends was ruined, Zichun seemed to have no destination. He thought for a while and said, "Let's take one step at a time." He had no other plans at the moment. Monk said, "In that case, Lord Zhang will personally come out of the city to see you off and give you some face." Zichun walked out of the city and waved at Monk without looking back. "Cultivate well. You're still too weak now. Don't show up before you become a 9-star saint spirit." 9-star? What a big tone. Aren't you just a 7-star saint spirit now? Monk sneered. Zichun turned back and smiled mysteriously. "I mean, only a 9-star saint like you is qualified to fight with me." Monk was furious. "Zichun, if you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one. Do you think I'm afraid of you in the same realm? That's too boring. If you have the ability, come after me." Zichun left. Qingyi turned around and waved goodbye to Monk. Monk looked at Zichun's back. His previous anger was obviously fake. He muttered, "Don't die." Following Zichun's departure were the Buddhas who were hiding in the dark, as well as many spies. Monk knew what Zichun was going to do. Unfortunately, the gap between their realms was too big. Monk wanted to help, but he was powerless. Zichun and Qingyi walked out of the city. Qingyi had already sensed the experts following them, but she did not say anything. The two left the outer city and walked into the distance. No danger appeared. Zichun left this world and stepped into a flying ship, flying out of the Buddhist region. Soon, several flying ships left with Zichun. It was unknown whether they were friends or foes. 3 days later, Zichun arrived at the edge of the Buddhist region. After he entered the region, the space there began to surge, and countless ripples appeared. Like a light screen, Zichun took the flying ship and plunged into it. The flying ships followed closely behind. Just as they reached the region, everything returned to normal. Disciples of the Buddhas walked out of the flying ships. Chapter 4172. Flying boats stopped one after another, and the holy spirits walked out of them. Their faces did not look good, because they had lost their target. Just as they were at a loss, a beam of light suddenly appeared in the void. The aura of a holy venerate filled the surroundings. A holy venerate had come personally. All the holy spirits immediately bowed, and one of them explained the awkward situation. The holy venerate from the Buddhist race said, "Go back." The holy spirits who were responsible for secretly protecting Zichen accepted the order, then turned around and returned to the flying boats. One by one, they went back. The holy venerate from the Buddhist race stood there, clasped his hands together, and chanted, Amitabha. Layers of Buddhist light surged in the void, like ripples suddenly surging on the surface of a calm lake, spreading in all directions. 100 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet, 100,000 feet. Everything within 10,000 feet of the void turned golden. There was a hint of surprise in the holy venerate's eyes, because the surging holy venerate power did not discover anything. His hands, which were originally clasped together, suddenly changed into a seal, and he said, Buddha is merciful. An even more boundless Buddhist power surged out like a raging storm, destroying the surrounding void. Vast and mighty Buddhist power filled the void. Somewhere within this 10,000 feet of the void changed, as if there was an invisible wall that prevented the Buddhist power from invading. The holy venerate from the Buddhist race flashed, and he arrived in front of the anomaly. Looking at this strange place, his merciful face gradually changed, and he seemed to become very serious. Is there a holy venerate from the demon race hiding in the saint spirit realm? The scene in Zichen's field of vision changed, and he seemed to have been led to another place. He immediately put away the flying boat and stood in the void. What happened? Qingyi asked. Zichen looked around and smiled faintly. It should be some small trouble. Little trouble, you are very confident. A faint laugh suddenly sounded, and a person suddenly appeared 1,000 feet away. It was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe. I have heard that Zichen's combat strength is unparalleled, but after seeing it today, I know that your greatest strength is your arrogance. Zichen looked at him and said, Do you dare to stand within 30 meters of me and talk to me? The middle-aged man was stunned. The reason why he was so far away from Zichen was because he was worried that if he got too close, Zichen would suddenly kill him. What? You don't dare. Zichen laughed mockingly. Then shut up. Zichen, don't be so smug. Today is the day you die. The middle-aged man snorted coldly, then waved his hand. Kill him. More than a dozen people appeared around Zichen. They were all 9-star saint spirits with weapons in their hands. They appeared 300 feet away from Zichen. Qingyi's gaze swept over these people, her gaze lingering on the weapons. They're all soul weapons. Do you need me to make a move? This time was different from the previous battle. These people had clearly come prepared. In this situation, Qingyi naturally couldn't sit idly by. Zichen shook his head and said, That's interesting. In the entire Saint Spirit realm, not to mention how many high-quality soul weapons there are, just the fact that they can take out so many soul weapons at once means that there aren't many powers. Even if the Lost World had pushed the development of soul weapons to a great degree, it was impossible to create so many soul weapons in such a short period of time. I'm a little curious about your background. The middle-aged man still standing in the distance said, There is no use in being curious. Today is the day you die. Zichen said, As far as I know, there are currently 2 powers that are worthy of suspicion, and they are both familiar faces from the Lost World. One is the Chui clan, the other is the He clan. The middle-aged man's expression suddenly changed. It seems you really are going to die. Attack. The dozen people immediately took out their soul weapons and attacked Zichen. Seems like I guessed correctly. I originally thought I had nowhere to go, but now I have a direction. Zichen's eyes gradually turned cold, and killing intent filled his eyes. Die. He rushed towards a 9-star saint spirit and stabbed the spear in his hand into the other party's chest. The 9-star saint spirit immediately used his soul weapon to block the attack. With a loud clang, the 9-star saint spirit borrowed the force to retreat. Zichen's body moved to the side, and the ancient shield in his hand blocked the attack. The spear in his hand immediately left his hand, and like a flash of lightning, it entered the nine-star Saint Spirit's throat. A powerful soul-extinguishing force appeared, destroying the nine-star Saint Spirit's soul. A nine-star Saint Spirit was dead. They were not demons, but Saint Spirits native to the Saint Spirit realm. After the nine-star Saint Spirit died, Zichun took a step forward, and at the same time, he planned to take the nine-star Saint Spirit soul weapon. Every soul weapon was extremely valuable, not to mention the soul weapon in front of him was made by a nine-star Saint Spirit. The soul weapon that just left the nine-star Saint Spirit's hand suddenly flew into the distance, as if it was summoned. After missing the target, Zichun went to find the second target. Qingyi stood in the distance, and she did not make a move. She was vigilantly watching the surroundings. The moment the battle began, she suddenly had a bad feeling. She did not really feel anything, but the uneasiness grew stronger and stronger, as if there was a great danger hidden in this place. She did not know where the danger came from, because the second nine-star Saint Spirit was already dead. With Zichen's current combat strength, it was almost impossible for these people to kill him. The middle-aged man did not leave, but he retreated far away. He was watching the battle, and he was in a good mood. As for the dead nine-star Saint Spirits, he did not feel any heartache. Could it be those soul weapons? Qingyi noticed that the second soul weapon flew away after its master died. They want to take turns to fight Zichun to death? Zichun, who had failed to seize the soul weapon twice, seemed to have noticed something was wrong. Next, he was not only going to kill, but also destroy the soul weapon. Powerful soul power was injected into the spear, and this was an all-out attack. The nine-star Saint Spirit in front of him used his soul weapon to block. With a pong sound, the soul weapon in his hand exploded into pieces, and the recoil sent his body flying far away. He did not die, but his soul weapon was destroyed. Next, Zichun kept retreating, and he changed directions from time to time, dodging one attack after another. If he could not dodge, he would use the ancient shield to block. The middle-aged man's face changed when he saw Zichun destroy a soul weapon. But when Zichun destroyed the second soul weapon, his face turned ugly. He did not care about the death of the nine-star Saint Spirit, but the destruction of the soul weapon made his heart ache. But now, he could not tell them to protect the soul weapon. Damn it, before dying, he made us suffer such a great loss. The middle-aged man cursed under his breath. At this moment, the third soul weapon was destroyed. None of the nine-star Saint Spirits died, but the loss of 3 soul weapons was fatal. Furious, the middle-aged man shouted, "What are you waiting for? Why are you not using your full strength?" All kinds of strange phenomena appeared in the void, and the surging soul power caused the void to tremble. Fighting against Zichun, how could these nine-star Saint Spirits dare to hold back? Fortunately, this battle was in the void. If it was in some other world, they would have destroyed that world long ago. Zichen's spear pierced forward, and a giant beast formed from soul power was destroyed. Zichen's figure moved forward with extreme speed and struck out with all his might. A sharp whistling sound came from the void, as if a huge hole was pierced through it. This attack was not a power attack, but it still brought about such a great momentum. Unsurprisingly, in the face of death, all the nine-star Saint Spirits made the same choice. The fourth soul weapon was destroyed, and the nine-star Saint Spirit was sent flying, coughing out blood, and thus saved his life. Just like that, the number of Zichen's enemies did not decrease, but the number of soul weapons was decreasing. Qingyi noticed the change in the middle-aged man's expression and couldn't help but nod her head. It seemed that Zichun was right. As long as those soul weapons were destroyed, the rest of them would be much weaker in the battle of attrition. The fifth soul weapon was destroyed. The sixth soul weapon was destroyed and lost its function. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth in anger, but he could only be angry. He could not scold the nine-star Saint Spirits. Even if he felt that the nine-star Saint Spirits were not worth a soul weapon, he could not say it out loud. He was waiting, and he could only wait. The seventh soul weapon was destroyed. The eighth soul weapon, the ninth soul weapon, until the 10th soul weapon. There were only 5 nine-star Saint Spirits left. As for the other 9-star saint spirits, after losing their soul weapons, their battle prowess was not as strong as before. It was unknown whether it was because their battle prowess had weakened, or because they had purposely restrained their strength. Zichen even had a feeling that they were purposely allowing those with soul weapons to charge forward. After all, even if Zichen's killing move came close, the soul weapons would be destroyed first, not them. Perhaps it was because of this tacit understanding that Zichen did not have to purposely look for enemies. As long as he attacked with all his strength, there would be a soul weapon in front of him. Thus, the 11th soul weapon was destroyed. Only 4 soul weapons were left. Zichen was puzzled. What was the meaning of this? The other 9-star saint spirits seemed to be trying to preserve their lives. Bang, bang, bang. 12, 13, 14. Soon, there was only 1 soul weapon left among Zichen's opponents. Zichen had expended a lot of energy to destroy the soul weapons consecutively, but it was enough to kill the other 9-star saint spirits. He had a feeling that things were not as simple as he thought. During this time, Zichen noticed that one of the 9-star saint spirits raised his head to look at the sky. Could there be hidden dangers in the sky? Just as Zichen was pondering, the last soul weapon was delivered to him, forcing Zichen to use all his strength. Bang! As expected, the soul weapon was destroyed. The middle-aged man no longer looked at the battlefield, or else he would be angered to death. He raised his head to look at the sky, and there was a hint of urgency in his eyes. He was waiting. Ripples appeared in the sky, like thousands of stars, and began to disappear. Phew! Seeing the strange phenomenon in the sky, the middle-aged man heaved a sigh of relief. I finally succeeded. He looked at Zichen with a cold gaze, as if he was looking at a dead man. Zichen, the time of your death has arrived. Chapter 4173. It was as if countless stars had appeared in the sky, shining brightly. The middle-aged man heaved a sigh of relief when the vision appeared. His heart was finally at ease. He waved at the crowd and said, "Retreat." He was very dissatisfied. According to the original plan, the 9-star saint spirits would die, but the soul weapons would be preserved and kept for future use. However, he did not expect that Zichen would destroy all the soul weapons, but the 9-star saint spirits survived. The group of saint spirits heard him and immediately retreated. They were all relieved. Without the soul weapons, it would be time for them to die. Fortunately, the plan was completed. Zichen looked at the saint spirits retreating, but he did not chase after them. At this moment, a vision appeared in the sky. He looked up and saw that the stars had materialized. It was not the real Xingchun, but a great array. Those stars were the foundation of the great array. They were shining brightly. Zichen sensed that something was wrong. He immediately soared into the sky and flew toward the great array. The blood-stained spear in his hand emitted a mighty aura. Boundless golden light lit up the entire sky. At this moment, the power Zichen used was much stronger than when he destroyed the soul weapons. In another direction, Qing-Yi, who had not made a move until now, also soared into the sky with Zichen. Light condensed on her fingertips. It was just a little bit of light, but it gave people a strong feeling. Qing-Yi also sensed that something was wrong. She chose to take the initiative to attack. It's too late to make a move now. Looking at the two people who were going all out, the middle-aged man only smiled coldly. Zichen's body suddenly emitted rays of black light, which instantly drowned out the golden light. His body, which had soared into the sky, was rapidly decelerating. The powerful attack contained in the spear was also disappearing at this moment. In just a breath, Zichen's body seemed to be bound by an invisible force. He stood motionless in the sky. There seemed to be chanting in his body. Rays of black energy kept appearing from his body. They were like black ropes, which began to coil around Zichen's body. Qing-Yi was not stopped. She was still flying toward the great array in the sky. However, before she could even get close, the array had already been activated. A powerful repulsive force appeared in the air and sent her body flying backward. She was excluded by the array. A black beam of light descended from the void. It was pure devil chi, and it headed straight for Zichen. Zichen tried to break free from the restraints on his body, but to no avail. The man laughed loudly. I prepared this especially for you. Do you admit it or not? You're going to die." The power of the ancient thunder flame in Zichen's body erupted, forming countless ripples that began to attack the bindings. The black binding began to tremble, as if it was about to loosen. The middle-aged man's laughter faded, and his expression changed slightly. "You have the power to resist like this? Fine, I'll give you a little more. After all, you are very famous in the Saint Spirit domain. You can't die in such a humiliating manner." The middle-aged man waved his hand, and the holy spirits who had left earlier appeared once more. They received the order and charged towards Zichen. "Let's see what you choose." The middle-aged man sneered. If Zichen didn't care and just wanted to break free from the bindings, he would be killed by these holy spirits. On the other hand, if he fought against these holy spirits, he would be destroyed by the array. Either way, he would die. Zichen moved. This wasn't a difficult choice. He would kill first, then break the array. However, at this moment, he already believed that the lost bone-grinding relic was indeed on him, and that it was being used right now. It could be said that it was cooperating with the array, trying to control him. However, Zichen didn't understand why it was targeting him. It was just a coincidence that he came to the Buddha clan. The enemy wanted the bone-grinding relic, and he didn't know how many years they had been plotting. The two shouldn't have had anything to do with each other. After the 9-star holy spirits entered, they were also surrounded by black light. However, this black light wasn't binding them, but protecting them. It protected them from being affected by the array. Zichen charged toward the 9-star holy spirits, determined to end this quickly. The middle-aged man laughed. "Are you confused why we're targeting you? In fact, it's just in passing. Who asked you to be so unlucky? At that time, we thought about it and felt that you were the most suitable candidate. Because you had a good relationship with the Buddha clan, you would definitely be able to smoothly come out with the bone-grinding relic. Our goal was to use your body as the core and your soul as the medium to open up a channel." The spear pierced through the body of a 9-star holy spirit. Zichen said in a deep voice, "You colluded with the devil clan?" The middle-aged man said, "Colluded is not a good word to use. This is called opening the door to welcome guests. Our distinguished guest has been waiting outside for too many years. It's time for him to come in." "Guest? Do you know what kind of disaster your so-called guest will bring to the Saint Spirit realm once he comes to this world?" Zichen said coldly. The second 9-star holy spirit was killed. The middle-aged man spread his hands and said, "That has nothing to do with me." The next moment, his figure disappeared into thin air. A beam of light passed through the place where he was standing. It was Qingyi. She wanted to catch him, but she didn't expect him to react so quickly. The middle-aged man appeared in the distance. After he was far away from Qingyi, he sneered and said, "It's useless to attack me now. Now that the formation is complete, all you and I can do is watch Zichen slowly die from the devil qi being injected into his body. Then, come with me to witness the arrival of the devil clan." With that, the middle-aged man disappeared again, but this time he was far away from Qingyi. Although Zichen was trapped in the formation, it didn't affect his conversation with the middle-aged man. He could also kill a few holy spirits while he was at it. "You mean the devil qi will corrode my body?" The middle-aged man who appeared in another place said, "That's right. When that time comes, you will no longer be yourself. You won't even count as a devil. You will just be a key filled with devil qi. It's possible that you will become a monument in the future for future generations to worship." Devil qi entering my body? After sensing the abnormality in his body, Zichen gradually felt the pressure. He didn't dare to waste any more time and began to kill the enemies with all his might. More devil qi fell from the sky and entered Zichen's body. The power in Zichen's body showed signs of being assimilated. "Die." The spear in Zichen's hand pierced through the body of a holy spirit. He didn't care whether the holy spirit was dead or alive. He directly rushed to the next target. The middle-aged man who had disappeared appeared again. He was very surprised to see Zichen's current state. Even so, Zichen still had such a terrifying combat strength. It seemed that the title of invincible was well-deserved. But he wasn't worried, because Zichen was going to die today without a doubt. Soon, these holy spirits who had come to die were all dead. Chapter 4174. The sacred spirits' corpses fell from the sky, and no one knew where they would end up. Perhaps they would end up in a small world, or perhaps they would end up in the myriad spirit realm. This was an opportunity, and a great one at that. Even the sacred spirits would covet it. Unfortunately, no one cared about it. Qingyi tried a few times, but she couldn't catch the middle-aged man, let alone kill him. She was somewhat anxious. After killing all the sacred spirits, Zichun sat down cross-legged, no longer resisting the demonic qi. "Oh, you're not struggling anymore?" A faint smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face. "Then you'll die even faster." Zichun didn't respond. He closed his eyes, allowing the demonic qi to come from all directions. The sound of chanting continued, affecting Zichun's consciousness. The middle-aged man watched for a moment, then asked doubtfully, "What do you mean? Why aren't you struggling and giving up?" Suddenly, his expression changed and he said in shock, "You're not refining it, are you? You're refining the demonic qi? You're actually refining the demonic qi." The middle-aged man couldn't help but laugh. "I admit that the demonic qi is a good thing, and it's an extremely pure power. Unfortunately, it's not suitable for you. If you resist it with all your might, you can slow down the rate at which the demonic qi enters your body. To put it simply, you can live a little longer. But you're actually refining the demonic qi. This is no less than opening the door to your body and letting the demonic qi in. It seems that you want the demon race to come to the saint spirit realm even more than I do." The demonic qi descending from the sky had completely enveloped Zichun. At this moment, only a large amount of demonic qi could be seen, and Zichun was nowhere to be seen. "Perhaps you're too happy too early. Others can't refine the demonic qi, but that doesn't mean Zichun can't." At this moment, Qingyi, who was no longer trying to kill anyone, spoke up. Every time she approached, the middle-aged man would take the initiative to leave and never fight her. Hearing Qingyi's words, he smiled disdainfully. "Beauty, are you trying to make me happy?" Qingyi said coldly, "Teasing you? Do you think you're worthy? Don't forget who the person inside is. He's Zichun, an existence who has created countless miracles. The demonic energy might be able to stump others, but it definitely won't be able to stump Zichun." The middle-aged man's expression changed slightly. "Oh, there's such a thing?" Qingyi said. "Looks like you don't understand your opponent at all. But then again, you sent so few people to kill Zichun. Of course you don't know how strong he is." The middle-aged man humbly asked, "Then what kind of power would be required to kill Zichun?" Qingyi proudly said, "Of course I want the power of the saint." The middle-aged man nodded seriously. "Oh, is there anything else? Isn't that enough?" Qingyi asked. "Heavenly sovereigns are invincible. In the saint spirit world, every heavenly sovereign is invincible. This kind of invincibility is truly invincible. If a heavenly sovereign really came, killing Zichun would be no problem at all." The middle-aged man thought for a moment. Qingyi's eyes flashed with anxiety. "Then what are you waiting for? You know you can't kill Zichun, so why don't you hurry up and see if he's refined the demonic energy? If he's really grown, won't you be in a worse situation?" The middle-aged man smiled faintly and asked, "Aren't you with Zichun? Why are you thinking for me now?" "I'm not familiar with him," said Qingyi. "I'm not thinking for you right now. I'm helping the weak." The middle-aged man looked Qingyi up and down. "Woman, you're beautiful. Every time you get close to me, you give me a sense of danger. You're obviously very strong, but how come you don't have any brains?" Qingyi was furious. "Who are you calling brainless? Do you think I'm an idiot? If I let Zichun go right now, the first thing he'll do is kill me. As for refining the demonic energy, do you really think that's possible?" The middle-aged man's face was full of ridicule. "Why wouldn't it be possible?" said Qingyi. "He's Zichun. Didn't you say he was very strong? Looks like you're really naive. I was just messing with you. Can't you see?" The middle-aged man laughed and said, "Time is long, and the only ones who can talk here are you and me. Wouldn't it be nice to chat with a silly girl like you while watching Zichun, the great invincible, die?" Qingyi quickly stepped forward. She was furious. She had been talking seriously with the middle-aged man, but he was just messing with her. The middle-aged man began to back away, keeping his distance from Qingyi. "Miss, Don't be angry. Even if I were an idiot like you and listened to you, I still wouldn't be able to release Zichun. He pointed to the sky. Do you think I have the ability to do something like that? I'm just a spectator at best, a witness to history. I'm going to witness Zichun's death and the arrival of the demonic race. Zichun won't die, said Qingyi loudly, unless a holy sage comes. The middle-aged man laughed again. What? You're angry? Actually, there's one more thing I haven't told you. The demonic energy in the formation above us is terrifying. How terrifying is it? Yes, it's like a holy sage has come in person. Really, I'm not lying to you. If a holy sage isn't comparable to a holy sage, do you think Zichun won't die? As soon as he said this, it was as if Qingyi had announced Zichun's death sentence. She instantly lost the will to chase after him. She turned around and rushed toward the array. But as soon as she got close, she was sent flying by a powerful force. Qingyi didn't care. She continued to charge forward, shouting, Zichun, resist, resist. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Just as the middle-aged man expected, Zichun, no longer resisting, began to devour the demonic energy. This was the only way he could escape. As for the demonic energy, it wasn't that he hadn't devoured it before. The devouring demon leech was an example. But compared to this demonic energy, the devouring demon leech's power was like an ant trying to shake a tree. The two couldn't be compared. As Zichun absorbed the demonic energy, he gradually lost consciousness. In his ears, the sound of Buddhist chanting continuously rang out. His consciousness gradually blurred. But the devouring didn't weaken. It was as if this was his instinct. The demonic energy entered Zichun's sea of consciousness and was devoured by the soul-devouring demon leech, refined, and turned into his own power. But as the hypnotic chanting continued, Zichun's consciousness finally went blank. Without the control of his instincts, the devouring speed of the soul-devouring demon leech gradually decreased. More demonic energy entered Zichun's body. His body gradually began to demonize. His blood and bones were also filled with demonic energy. Some demonic energy also entered Zichun's abdomen through his meridians and began to invade the ancient thunderflame power. Even without Zichun's special control, the ancient thunderflame power was extremely terrifying. The first wave of demonic energy that approached was destroyed. In Zichun's sea of consciousness, the golden soul was also surrounded. It was like a pack of wolves surrounding a sleeping pride of lions. Only one or two lions were awake and fighting with the pack of wolves. The other lions were in a deep sleep and couldn't wake up. The awakened lions were naturally the soul-devouring demon leech that was circulating slower and slower. If this continued, it would eventually stop circulating. At that time, Zichun's soul would be assimilated. The ancient thunderflame power was a powerful force, but it also needed to be properly guided. As more demonic energy was injected, in an unconscious state, it would eventually lose to the endless demonic energy. At that time, Zichun would be a demon, and the middle-aged man would really become a witness to the invasion of the demons. At this moment, a voice came from the outside, penetrating the heavy demonic energy and entering Zichun's sea of consciousness. Zichun, resist. Zichun, resist. This voice wasn't loud, but it was very clear, as if it was ringing in the heart lake. Even the chanting couldn't suppress it. An extremely small fluctuation appeared in Zichun's golden soul power. As more voices were transmitted, this fluctuation became more and more intense, until the golden soul power completely boiled and became active. Consciousness. Zichun opened his eyes. His gaze penetrated the boundless demonic energy and saw outside the array. He saw Qingyi, who was constantly crashing into the array and was badly mutilated, but still trying to rush in. Chapter 4175. Qingyi was calling out to Zichun again and again. She used her delicate body to crash into the array. Every time she crashed into the array, the protective soul power around her body would disappear, and the backlash from the array would seriously injure her body. Qingyi cultivated soul power, and her body was relatively weak. Every collision was like a strong force landing on her body, making her look like a bloody mess. Zichun, Resist? Qing Yi's voice was weak, but unusually firm. TSK, didn't you say you weren't familiar with Zichen? Why are you risking your life for him now? The middle-aged man laughed. He had been watching the show this entire time and found it quite amusing. Originally, I couldn't beat you, but judging from your current state, you're very weak. After Zichen dies, I'll kill you to help you achieve your goal. Unfortunately, your body can no longer be seen. Otherwise, before you die, you can enjoy a round of **********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************. against the edge of the array. At this moment, her eyes were filled with despair. There was also regret. If she hadn't come out to play, Zichen wouldn't have come here, and he wouldn't have been schemed against by others. She didn't care whether the demons would invade or not, because she couldn't control them. She wasn't familiar with the demons, and there was no deep hatred between them. She cared about Zichen, and she was the one who harmed Zichen. Inside the array, Zichen saw this scene, and the anger in his heart was completely ignited. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and he seemed to be infinitely crazy. The dark ghost devouring soul technique began to operate crazily, as if a group of sleeping lions had awakened in an instant. Although there was a pack of wolves around them, they were a pride of lions, and each of them was a king. A huge golden vortex appeared in Zichen's sea of consciousness. The soul power that poured in was constantly being swallowed by the vortex. The golden vortex was like a huge funnel, filling the sea of consciousness. All of the devilish energy was sucked into the vortex from the top, where it was refined layer by layer until only the purest part of it was left behind. It appeared at the bottom of the funnel and became Zichen's golden soul power. After the golden soul power appeared, it filled the vortex funnel again, causing the vortex to begin to expand. Was this a crisis? No, this was an opportunity. Moreover, it was an extremely rare opportunity. Boundless rage filled Zichen's heart, making it impossible for him to calm down. The Buddhist chant that was still ringing out naturally lost its effect. Qing Yi was nestled outside the array formation. She had already done her best. The middle-aged man sized up Qing Yi's body and regretfully said, "What a pity. Your injuries are too heavy. I can't bear to look at you. Otherwise, you would also be a rare beauty." Qing Yi didn't hear what the other party was saying. She only looked ahead, hoping to see a miracle. It was just like how he fought against the demonic leeches to save people in the Buddha race. Qing Yi didn't know if it was because the prayer in her heart was effective, but she clearly saw that the unchanging demonic qi started to tremble. Qing Yi's eyes lit up as she slowly stood up. "There's no need to be happy. He probably heard your call and struggled a bit. Now that things have gotten to this point, he has no chance of surviving." The middle-aged man also sensed the abnormality. He looked up at the sky, at the great array formation. Because the array formation has been completed, even if the Holy Sovereign personally came, he wouldn't be able to save him. The demonic qi in front of them began to churn like rising smoke, rapidly twisting and turning. The middle-aged man disdainfully said, "Is this a final struggle?" Suddenly, his expression changed because the churning demonic qi in front of him had clearly become thinner and not as strong as before. It was as if it had disappeared for no reason. How can this be? The middle-aged man was in disbelief. Could it be that the array formation is about to be completed? He looked up at the sky. The demonic qi falling from the array formation hadn't weakened at all. Clearly, it wasn't over yet. At this moment, he saw the demonic qi become thinner and thinner. He could even see Zichen's body sitting cross-legged within. A golden vortex had appeared around him, and the demonic qi was constantly being swallowed up by the vortex. The golden vortex was swallowing the demonic qi so quickly that the supply of demonic qi falling from the sky couldn't meet the demand. In the end, there was no more demonic qi around Zichen. As soon as the demonic qi fell from the sky, it would be absorbed by Zichen. "I told you, Zichen is not an ordinary person, but you didn't believe me." Qing Yi's voice sounded again. She was originally a bloody mess, but after using her soul power to recover, her condition was much better. "Impossible. This is impossible." The middle-aged man cried out involuntarily. The Holy Sovereign said that as long as the array formation is completed, No one in the saint spirit realm can break it. It's even more impossible to swallow the demonic chi. You're not a demon. The scene in front of them was too unexpected, far beyond common sense. The Holy Sovereign's words had unexpectedly changed. How could a Holy Spirit living in the saint spirit realm swallow the demonic chi? Even if a demon came here, the dense demonic chi here would kill him. But why wasn't Zichun dead? This is impossible, the middle-aged man shouted. With the bone-grinding Sarira, there's no way you can survive. He had long since lost his mind. Zichun, who was sitting cross-legged in the array formation, suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the middle-aged man through the array formation and smiled. You mean this? A bone-grinding Sarira appeared in Zichun's hand, but it wasn't one. There were 9 of them. However, these 9 bone-grinding Sarira no longer emitted demonic light. They were all pure Buddhist energy. At this moment, the 9 bone-grinding Sarira began to slowly revolve around Zichun. Without the demonic chi, the bone-grinding Sarira began to automatically protect Zichun. This was because the bone-grinding Sarira naturally repelled demonic chi. The middle-aged man was completely dumbfounded. Zichun stood up, and the bone-grinding Sarira moved with Zichun. Zichun looked up at the sky, at the array formation that was constantly spewing demonic chi, and said, "Still too slow." His body immediately rose into the air, and all the demonic chi in his path was swallowed by his body. He came under the array formation, stretched out his hand, and said indifferently, "Since you prepared them for me, then give them all to me." Pure demonic chi madly surged into Zichun's body, and then was quickly refined, becoming a part of his soul power. His soul power began to grow stronger. For Zichun, there was no bottleneck in his current cultivation, because his soul realm had already reached that level. The only thing he lacked now was the replenishment of his soul power. Now that the pure soul power had arrived, everything fell into place. After Zichun swallowed the last bit of demonic chi, Zichun's soul power finally reached a critical point. Quantitative change. The aura of an 8-star Holy Spirit filled the entire array formation. Zichun broke through to the next realm. The feeling of power made him unable to help but roar. The entire array formation began to shake, as if it couldn't withstand the power of this roar. "Open for me." Zichun exerted force in his palm, and a surge of 8-star soul power poured out, shining with golden light, into the array formation. Chapter 4176. The middle-aged man stood there as if he had been petrified. His body didn't move. He was stunned, completely stunned. The bone-grinding relic held great significance to the Buddha race. It was practically their shame, so every single one of them was strictly guarded. Wanting to get a bone-grinding relic from the Buddha race was undoubtedly harder than ascending to the heavens. And wanting to get 9 of them at once was like a mortal ascending to the 9th heaven. It was a miracle. After spending countless years of effort and nurturing countless spies, generation after generation, they finally accumulated 9. Even now, the Buddha race only felt that they had lost 1 bone-grinding relic. Actually, the real number was 9. The other 8 weren't recorded. Obtaining the demon bone relic was the first step. The second step was to set up the array. The materials used were all precious materials from the demon race. Otherwise, how could they open the door to the demon race? This would take countless years of time. With the array, they still needed to find the right time to act. For example, right now, everything seemed calm, but in reality, there were already Saint Venerables from the Buddha race outside. They were just blocked by an invisible force. But this great undertaking that they had spent so much effort and sacrificed so many people was destroyed by this guy in front of them. He was only an 8-star. No, he was only a 7-star before. How could he destroy a great plan that even Saint Venerables couldn't? The middle-aged man couldn't figure it out. He couldn't understand. But it was meaningless. His plan of many years had failed. All his calculations had failed. He couldn't go back alive. Even if Zichun let him go, he didn't have the guts to go back. Dying in battle here was the best ending for him. Why? Why is this? The middle-aged man recovered from his thoughts. He looked at Zichun, who had broken the array, and asked unwillingly, Because this is the saint spirit realm, not the demon race's world. Zichen walked toward the middle-aged man. This is not a place where the demon race should come. This is the will of the heavens. Zichen didn't give the middle-aged man a chance to ask more questions. He pointed forward. The 7-star Zichen had the title of invincible. What about the 8-star before him? The middle-aged man's body, which had just taken a step back, stopped. There was a finger mark between his eyebrows. You. The middle-aged man didn't know what else to say, but he only managed to say one word before his body collapsed. Zichen waved his sleeve and a ray of light swept up the other party's body. Since this matter had come to an end, it was time to settle the score. He had to pay a visit to the 2 clans to see what kind of reckless force dared to make such a scheme. Zichen turned to look at Qingyi. She was flying towards them. Are you okay? Qingyi shook her head. Don't worry. I specialize in spiritual strength. No matter how heavy the injury, as long as I have spiritual strength, I can recover in a short time. Zichen wanted to tell him not to be so impulsive next time, but in the end, he didn't say it. He just thanked him. I accidentally fell asleep earlier. Fortunately, you woke me up. Suddenly, Zichen's expression changed, and he pulled Qingyi away. Zichen appeared 100 feet away. There was a bloody hole in his shoulder. How strong was Zichen's body? How could it be pierced through? Ignoring the wound in front of his eyes, Zichen raised his head and looked at the void. A person had appeared there. It was a person whose face Zichen couldn't see clearly. He stood there, as if he had become one with the void. Your reaction is quite fast, and your luck is not bad. The person smiled faintly. I hope you'll be so lucky next time. Holy Venerable. Zichen's expression changed dramatically. He was shocked. Seeing that his attack had failed, the other party retreated, intending to leave. Amitabha, benefactor, since you're here, don't leave. A Buddhist chant rang out, and then a pure, holy, venerable power descended from the sky. Compared to the hidden aura from before, this holy, venerable power was not only powerful, but also undisguised. Before the person arrived, the pure Buddhist power had already arrived, filling the surroundings in an instant. The void world immediately turned into a world of Buddhist light. The existence's retreat was completely blocked by the Buddhist power. Humph! The person snorted coldly, and a weapon appeared in his hand. He activated the weapon with all his might, and his whole body became a stream of light, breaking through the Buddhist power and escaping. Boom! Although he broke through the path in front of him, it was not easy for him to escape. He coughed up blood, and his aura was much weaker. Under such circumstances, Zichen could sense that the other party was not a real holy venerable. A real holy venerable of the Buddhist clan had descended into this world. He looked at the direction that the person had escaped and did not speak for a long time. Greetings, holy venerable. Zichen and Qingyi came forward and bowed to the holy venerable of the Buddhist clan. The holy venerable of the Buddhist clan turned around and put his palms together. I'm ashamed. I was blocked by an extremely powerful force, and I almost killed you. Zichen took out the 9 relics that had lost their demonic energy and handed them to the holy venerable with both hands. The holy venerable looked at the relics and asked curiously, Benefactor, what is the meaning of this? Zichen told him everything that had happened. The holy venerable's expression changed. Only then did he realize the seriousness of the matter. It was not 1 relic that had been lost, but 9 of them. However, as the holy venerable, he did not know about it. Otherwise, it would not be just a holy venerable who had come here. It seemed that there were still spies among the Buddhist clan. Knowing the seriousness of the matter, the holy venerable took the relics, thanked Zichen, and left in a hurry. After the holy venerable of the Buddhist clan left, Qingyi looked at Zichen and asked, Are you okay? Zichen looked at the wound that was still bleeding. I'm fine. It's just some residual power. I'll be fine after a while. Your performance is barely passable. Of course, it's best that you're lucky. At this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded. Zichen heard it and immediately turned his head. He saw a man standing behind him. It was a strong man, and he was standing about 100 feet behind Zichen. Qingyi was shocked. She did not sense the other party's presence at all. After the other party spoke, she felt the aura behind her. It's you? Zichun was surprised. This person was Chung Ho, the Chung Ho of the demon suppression sect. It was him and Lady Frost who had saved him when he was surrounded by the Lei Zheng family. Who else? Chung Ho looked at Qingyi and said, "You're living a good life? When did you get here?" Zichun asked. Chung Ho picked his ear and said, "I've been here for a few days. So you're saying that you've already seen what happened?" Zichun asked in shock. "Why else would I say that you're lucky?" Chung Ho looked at Zichun from the corner of his eyes. "Of course, it's just good luck. So you've seen everything? Those self-righteous idiots didn't even think about what we do. Did they think they could hide from us?" Chapter 4177. Hearing Chung Ho's words, Zichun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had almost lost his life. If Qingyi hadn't woken him up in time, he really would have been in danger. And this person had actually been watching the show from the shadows. Perhaps he was even judging him. Wasn't that infuriating? "What do you want from me?" Zichun asked angrily. Chung Ho said, "I want you to go to the demon realm and find out what's going on there." "What did you say?" Zichun looked at Chung Ho. Chung Ho laughed. "I want you to go to the demon realm and find out what's going on there." Zichun glared at him and said, "Then why didn't you just help that guy and let me die on the spot? If I really went to the demon realm, wouldn't it be hard for me to die?" Chung Ho said, "The demon realm isn't as scary as you think. There are spirit race people there, just like our saint spirit realm. Don't they also have demon race people?" Zichun emphasized, "But their blood isn't pure, and they don't think of themselves as demon race people. They are people of our saint spirit realm. They are demon race people of the saint spirit realm, not demon race people of the saint devil realm." "It's all the same," Chung Ho said. "You can think whatever you want, but you have to go to the demon realm." "I'm not going." Zichun shook his head. "Sure enough," he refused. "Really? A man's words carry enormous weight. How could I lie?" Zichun said loudly, "I'm not going. I'm not going." Chung Ho laughed, then gave Zichun a big thumbs up. "Little guy, good job. You've got guts. I already guessed this would be the result." His smile grew wider and wider. He clasped his hands together, his knuckles cracking. Qingyi didn't understand. This was Zichun's friend. Why was he smiling so maliciously? Zichun said in a low voice, "What, you want to fight? You are a grand sacred venerate, and you want to deal with a mere 8-star like me?" Chung Ho laughed and said, "How could that be? I just haven't fought recently and wanted to stretch my muscles and bones a bit. Of course, if I accidentally hurt anyone, I can only apologize in advance." "Chung Ho, you are a saint venerate, yet you are so shameless." Zichun stared at Chung Ho. Ever since they met, Zichun didn't know why, but he had a feeling that this guy had always wanted to deal with him. Or rather, they all wanted to beat him up. However, the two of them clearly had no enmity between them. So where did this malicious intent come from? "Oh, you've grown quite a bit. You don't even call me senior anymore." Chung Ho's smile turned colder. "What, are you really going to attack?" Zichun looked at Chung Ho. "Didn't I say? I'm just stretching my muscles and bones." Chung Ho walked forward, his knuckles popping. Seeing the look in his eyes, Zichun's expression didn't change. "Stretching my muscles and bones? If I really have the strength, I'd better go deal with the demons." "Right, what did you say just now? I don't think I heard it clearly. Did you want me to do something? We can discuss it again." Qingyi's gaze when she looked at Zichun became strange. This ability to change the rudder according to the wind was too old. In the blink of an eye, his firm stance was gone. As the #1 person in the Saint Spirit realm, where was his face? "Didn't you say you didn't want to go to the demon realm?" Chung Ho stopped. Zichun said with a blank face, "Did I? How come I don't remember? I thought you were talking about the God realm. Since it's the demon realm, I naturally have to go. After all, I've been fascinated by that place for a long time." Chung Ho said, "Don't be embarrassed. If you don't want to go, you can tell me. Don't worry, I won't force you." Zichun said with a righteous expression, "What kind of person do you think I am, Zichun? Who am I?" In the present age, Zichun has always been a man of his word. "Then why don't you come with me?" "Not yet. I have to go see those 2 clans." I suspect that today's matter has something to do with them, Zichen said. After suffering such a big loss, how can I not get some interest back? Chung Ho looked at Zichen suspiciously. Don't tell me you're thinking of taking advantage of the situation to escape? Zichen immediately said with a righteous expression. How could that be possible? If you don't trust me, you can come with me. When this matter is over, we'll leave together. Really? Of course. Then I'll go with you. Great sage. I'll have to trouble you to send us to the desolate starfield. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The desolate starfield was a huge starfield. There were some clans overseeing it, the largest of which was the He clan. Compared to the 4 great sacred domains and the 5 elements aristocratic families, the He clan in the desolate sacred domain was almost unknown. However, after this trip to the Lost World, the He clan's reputation soared. Although it still hadn't reached the peak, it had made the major forces look at it in a new light. In addition, the He clan also had an exclusive refining technique for soul weapons. It was said that they could sell soul weapons to the outside world. Recently, more and more people and forces had come to the He clan to look for them. It was said that the current ranking of individuals had been reached decades later, and almost all of them were 9-star saint spirits. As for forces, they could come to the He clan immediately, but they still had to line up. It was unknown whether it was a coincidence or not, but today, the 4 great sacred domains and the 5 elements aristocratic families had come at the same time. At this moment, they were waiting outside the door. Someone had already gone in to report. At this moment, the 9 people represented the 9 forces gathered together. In the distance, there were representatives of other forces, but they were not qualified to stand in the same position as the 9 people. They belonged to the second camp. The reason why everyone was gathered here was of course not a coincidence, but no one deliberately brought it up. After all, they came to visit because they wanted to do business with the He clan. In business, harmony made money. A moment later, a person walked out of the He clan. He should be a housekeeper. After seeing the 9 people, he immediately bowed and said, I've made you wait for a long time. Please follow me first. The clan master is already on his way. The He clan dared not give face to the several holy clans. The few of them smiled faintly and walked forward. But at this moment, the housekeeper looked at one of them with a troubled expression. That person asked, What's wrong? The housekeeper said apologetically, To be honest, before we came, the clan master instructed us to ask the Holy Thunder clan to wait for a moment. When the representatives of the other forces heard this, they all looked at the people of the Holy Thunder clan without batting an eyelid. Why? The representative of the Holy Thunder clan asked. The housekeeper said awkwardly, I'm not sure about this. I hope you can wait here for a moment. After the clan master gives the order, I will come to welcome you. Or, after we go in, I will inform the clan master. At that time, if the clan master agrees, I will come out to welcome you personally. His words were very beautiful, but whether or not that was what he meant was debatable. The others stood there like shrewd people, not saying anything. In fact, everyone more or less knew about the He clan. For example, last time, the He clan first went to the Holy Thunder clan to show their power. In the end, they were unlucky and met Zichen. Not only did they not gain face, but they also lost a lot of immortal stones and lost a lot of face. Perhaps today's scene was the He clan trying to regain the face they lost last time. So what if you're the Holy Thunder clan? I won't let you in. Others can enter. Chapter 4178. The representatives of the 9 forces had come in person. The He clan agreed to let 8 of them in, leaving only the Holy Thunder tribe behind. The 8 people next to them stood silently at the side, as if they were just watching the show with their eyes and not their mouths. At the same time, there was a hint of ridicule. Last time in the Lost World, the Holy Thunder clan represented by Zichen didn't give them a good time. In terms of humiliation, they were the ones who suffered the most. If the people who came were from the Leizheng family, perhaps they wouldn't be so targeted. However, it was said that the people who came were very close to Zichen's faction. After seeing this scene, the representatives of the other factions in the distance whispered and pointed at them. I hope you won't make things difficult for me. Please follow me. The butler first apologized to the representative of the Holy Thunder Clan, then motioned for the 8 people to come forward. The representative of the Holy Thunder Clan stayed there, feeling a little lonely. Damn it, in order to get this job, I put in so much effort, but I didn't expect to be tricked. As a core disciple of the Holy Thunder Clan, the Holy Thunder Clan's representative could clearly hear the discussions around him. This was obviously the He family's revenge. Before coming, the others knew about this but didn't tell him in detail, so he could plan ahead. It seems that this is a trap. He thought of the expression of the Lei Zheng family when they lost the qualification before coming. There was no trace of depression, and there was a clear look of ridicule in his eyes. It seems that they did it on purpose. Now they are waiting for me to go back and make a fool of myself. Next time, it will definitely be the Lei Zheng family. Suddenly, there was a cry of surprise from behind. Feeling a little annoyed, the moment he turned around, he saw the group of representatives split apart, and a man and a woman walked forward. He didn't know the woman, but after seeing the man, his eyes lit up in surprise. Zichun, he shouted. The people who came were Zichan and Qingyi. Zichun set his first target on the He family, who wanted to use him to establish their power. As soon as he landed, he saw many holy spirits gathered together. Their auras were different, and they obviously came from different factions. This made him very puzzled. What were so many divine spirits doing here? Right at this moment, he heard a familiar voice in front of him. He raised his head and looked ahead. He saw a holy spirit standing alone in the distance. Brother Pei, why are you here? Zichun recognized the other party. It was Pei Wanyao, a core disciple. The two of them had crossed paths before and even drank together. Why are you here? Pei Wanyao stepped forward and asked, Did the clan send you here? Zichun shook his head and said, No, I'm here because of some personal grudges. Why are you here? What's the matter? Pei Wanyao told Zichun about his current situation, as well as the fact that the other 8 people had entered earlier. Zichun laughed. Oh, so you're the only one left behind? Pei Wanyao nodded, feeling a little ashamed. Zichun patted his shoulder and said, This matter has nothing to do with you. It's these people who didn't learn their lesson last time, and even grew a temper. They are really hateful. Come, follow me in. Zichun walked forward. Originally, he had come here to settle the score, so he was naturally enraged at this moment. Is this appropriate? After all, we're here to do business. Pei Wanyao was a little worried. Don't worry, these people are just asking for a beating. A beating should be enough. As for this so-called business, there's no need to ask for it. In the future, they'll come to us obediently. Zichun arrived at the gate and was immediately stopped. Who are you? Zichun said calmly. I'm Zichun of the Holy Thunder Clan. I've come here to chase down the remnants of the demon realm. Get out of my way. Impudent. This is the desolate He clan. Where did the remnants of the demon realm come from? The person who had come was startled at first. He hadn't expected this person to be the famous Zichun, but he quickly recovered and shouted. Because the He clan and Zichun didn't get along, they secretly spoke ill of Zichun. The search for the remnants of the demon realm cannot be delayed. I'll count to 3. If you don't get out of my way, I'll take it that you're trying to stop me. Zichun's eyes immediately turned cold. Stopping me from capturing the remnants of the demon realm is making an enemy of the entire Saint Spirit realm. You must be killed. The representatives of the other powers in the back all came forward. They had thought that Zichun had taken the initiative to apologize this time. They hadn't expected him to be so forceful. But if he was so forceful, would the He clan still do business with the Holy Thunder Clan? 3. Time's up. A burst of energy erupted from Zichun's body, directly sending the people in front of him flying. The people behind him were even more shocked. They didn't even count 1 or 2. It seemed that he had come purely to cause trouble. Zichun strode forward. Qingyi, on the other hand, was just watching the show. Pei Wanyao was very nervous, but there was nothing he could do to change the situation. He could only follow. Worst case scenario, I'll just go back and be punished. Anyway, I can't take this lying down. Pei Wanyao clenched his fists and stepped forward. He seemed to want to fight. However, just as he entered, the huge gate behind him, which was like a city gate, collapsed with a loud rumble. He even tore down the door. There's an invasion. The destruction of the gate caused a huge commotion, so the other members of the He clan all sent messages. The 8 representatives had just met with the He clan's patriarch, who had come out to greet them. Both sides hadn't finished introducing themselves when they heard cries of alarm. The smile on the He clan's patriarch's face disappeared. He said angrily, "Which thief dares to cause trouble in the He clan? Is the He clan's army here?" Yes. Rays of light appeared one after another. They were holy spirits, standing in the air. They were wearing battle armor, and each of them held a weapon in their hands. The expressions of the representatives of the 8 major forces changed slightly when they saw this, because those people's weapons were obviously rare soul weapons. Even the battle armor they wore had the aura of soul power, which should also have the effect of counteracting soul power. The patriarch saw the changes in the expressions of the representatives. He couldn't help but smile complacently. He secretly thought that this thief came at the right time, just right to let the He clan be in the limelight again. "Go, capture the thief for me. After I finish my meeting with the guests, I'll torture the mastermind behind him," the patriarch of the He clan ordered. Yes, a group of holy spirits flew into the air and suppressed the disturbance at the gate. The patriarch of the He clan smiled and said, "It's just a small fry. You don't have to worry about it. Please come with me. The important matter is more important." In fact, the 8 people were very curious. Who on earth had the guts to cause trouble here? Was it really a guy who couldn't accept reality and didn't open his eyes? But the other party didn't invite them to watch the battle. As guests, they could only leave. At this moment, they heard a sound like a drum, accompanied by the sound of thunder. It was the holy spirits who had rushed out, one after another, were sent flying back. Their shining battle armors were already in tatters, and the large sabers in their hands were broken into 2 halves. Such a scene made everyone's expression change. Chapter 4179. The patriarch of the He family's expression changed. He had carefully selected the He family's soldiers, and each of them was an elite. They were all equipped with soul weapons and defensive armors. In such a situation where they were fully armed, it wouldn't be a problem for them to fight against 3 people. But now, all of them had returned in defeat, and even their soul weapons were destroyed. While the patriarch of the He family was shocked, his heart also ached for those soul weapons. Who is it? Which damned guy is it? He no longer cared about his face and roared angrily. At this moment, in the huge He family, there were holy spirits constantly flying towards the direction of the chaos to suppress it. However, they flew very fast and retreated very fast. No soul weapons were injured. Those who had soul weapons were injured. The situation was extremely out of control. Although the other party had not killed his way here, the He family had paid a great price to stop that person. The patriarch of the He family did not wait any longer. He decided to personally go and see who was it that had such courage. The other 8 people looked at each other and immediately followed. They also wanted to know who it was that had such powerful strength. However, when they saw the person who attacked, their expressions changed. The previous disbelief became a matter of course. It was only right. Since the door had collapsed, the other representatives naturally did not have to wait outside. Moreover, they all wanted to watch the show. In the end, they saw Zichun challenging the entire He family by himself. No one could stop him. His powerful combat strength destroyed soul weapons one after another. Everyone felt their hearts ache, but they also felt extremely comfortable. Didn't your He family have a lot of soul weapons? Didn't you like to show off? Didn't you have a lot of face? Now that your soul weapons are destroyed, let's see what you can do. Pei Wenyao followed behind Zichun. He felt a wave of excitement as he watched, and his mood was extremely comfortable. The face that he had lost previously was all recovered this time. Stop! At this moment, a loud shout sounded. It was the patriarch of the He family. He did not know Zichun, but he knew who he was from the exclamations of the others. You dare to stop me? Zichun looked at the head of the He family with a cold glint in his eyes. Zichun, how dare you cause trouble in my He clan? The head of the He clan glared at Zichun, not backing down. Zichun said, before I came here, I already said that I am chasing after the remnants of the demon world, So anyone who tries to stop me will die. Bullshit. You're chasing after your remnants. What does that have to do with us? The way I see it, you are clearly here to make trouble. The master of the He clan was unable to restrain his anger. Zichun said calmly, "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. Not long ago, I destroyed the demon realm's plan to invade through the Buddhist lands. I didn't expect a few rascals to escape, so I chased them all the way here." The master of the He family said coldly, "You're talking nonsense. Why should we believe you? Why don't you say the God realm?" Zichun said in a deep voice, "If you don't believe me, you can send a message to the Buddha clan and ask them. But right now, if you dare to stop me from chasing after the remnants of the demon world, then don't blame me for being impolite." Zichun's eyes flashed with killing intent. "Those who help the demon world will be killed without mercy. You just want to find an excuse, that's all. Do you want me to give you two more? For example, we still have remnants of the God realm here?" The master of the He clan laughed coldly. Zichun released his aura, indicating that he was in the 8 stars realm. "Do you see? I broke through not long ago because I profited from a disaster during the fight against the demon world. So, anyone who tries to stop me will die." After Zichun released his powerful aura, many people's expressions changed again. They knew when Zichun had broken through to the 7 stars realm. It hadn't been many years. Under normal circumstances, even if Zichun was different from the rest, it would take at least several hundred years before he could break through again. But to break through again in just a few years, they couldn't help but guess that he had encountered a great opportunity. Before, they thought that Zichun was just looking for an excuse, but now they all believed it. "Get lost." Zichun roared angrily and charged forward. Peng, the master of the He clan, who was blocking his way, was sent flying. Even if he was a 9 stars realm expert, he was still nothing in front of Zichun. Now, unless the Lord came personally. "Master!" Many people of the He clan saw this and immediately flew into the air. Some stopped Zichun, and some went to protect the master. The battle broke out again. In fact, it couldn't be called a battle, because everyone was just passively taking a beating. They couldn't do anything to Zichun. Everywhere Zichun passed by, it was a scene of people falling off their horses. The 8 spectators had already retreated. Just like how they didn't speak for Pei Wenyao before, they didn't speak for the He clan now, because they knew that their words didn't have any weight in front of Zichun. "Zichun, you've gone too far." The master of the He clan said angrily, "Do you really think there's no one in the He clan? Please, Lord Ancestor." Hearing this, Zichun's expression didn't change at all, and he continued to move forward. The master of the He clan looked at Zichun with a face full of pride, as if he was looking at a dead man. "You're going to kneel down and beg for forgiveness soon." The expressions of the others also changed. Some were already waiting to see a good show. However, after many moments, the Lord still didn't appear. "The He clan is in trouble. Please, Lord Ancestor." The master of the He clan shouted again. Still, there was no response. "Thieves are invading. Please, Lord Ancestor of the He clan." The master of the He clan said again, but this time, his voice was trembling, and he was no longer as confident as before. "Please, Lord Ancestor." The others also shouted in unison, but still, there was no response. Many people could see that something was wrong. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Zichun's body, and the holy spirits of the He clan around him were all sent flying. "Someone, go and call the ancestor. Look, they're all calling for you. Do you want to go out and have a look?" In an antique room, Chung Ho sat casually, and a person stood opposite him. He was the holy spirit of the He clan. He was also the only holy spirit of the He clan. He was the strongest person in the He clan, and he was respected as the ancestor. However, today, he was not even qualified to sit in front of Chung Ho. Hearing Chung Ho's words, the Holy Spirit immediately shook his head and said, "No, it's okay. Your Excellency's matter is more important." At this moment, the Holy Spirit complained incessantly in his heart. Didn't they say that Lei Zhenke was the only Holy Spirit of the ancient era in the world? Why did the person in front of him give him an extremely dangerous feeling? Standing next to him, he couldn't even breathe smoothly, and he didn't even want to make a move. The gap between them was too big. "Are you sure you don't want to go and have a look?" Chung Ho asked. "There's really no need." The Holy Spirit of the He clan smiled. At this moment, an anxious voice suddenly came from outside the door. "Ancestor, there are thieves who have forced their way into the clan and are causing trouble. Ancestor, please come and suppress them." Chung Ho looked at the Holy Spirit with a playful smile. "Get lost." The Holy Spirit of the He clan was furious. He didn't even make a move, but a force appeared from outside and directly sent the person flying. Chapter 4180. Chung Ho's words shocked the He clan's holy master. He thought that Zichun was here to cause trouble. The demonic realm's plan was ruined by Zichun. He sensed a few forces that might be cooperating with the demonic realm through their aura. Chung Ho tapped on the table with his finger. This is the first place that Zichun thinks might be in cahoots with the demonic realm. "Sir, there is no such thing. The He clan has never dealt with the Shengma region, let alone the demonic realm." The He clan's holy master's forehead was covered in cold sweat. This was a taboo in the Saint Spirit world. It was the bottom line of the Saint Spirit world. If any forces dared to cross this line, they would definitely die. The Saint Spirit world had adopted a zero-tolerance policy on this matter. They would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go. Chung Ho smiled and said, "Have a seat. Don't be nervous." The Holy Master did not dare to sit down, but he wiped off his cold sweat and let out a sigh of relief. He realized that he would not be standing there if the Lord had not concluded that the He clan had nothing to do with this matter. Since the He clan's innocence had been proven, but the Holy Master still did not want to leave, his intention was clear. The Holy Master was angry, not at Chung Ho or Zichun, but at the master of the He clan. He could have provoked anyone, but he had to provoke Zichun. The Holy Master had made up his mind to change the master of the He clan after this matter was over. The current master of the He clan was too stupid. Zichun would be unstoppable if the Holy Master did not show up. At this moment, the representatives of the major forces witnessed how one person could be as powerful as an entire force. The He clan had become famous recently, and their soul weapons were coveted by all the major forces. However, these soul weapons were useless in front of Zichun. "You have a lot of people, right? Injure all of them. You have a lot of soul weapons, right? Then I will break all of them." The master of the He clan was in despair. The Holy Master of the He clan did not show up even though such a big thing had happened. What does this mean? The battle continued until there was no one in front of Zichun. In fact, there had always been people charging forward. If they didn't show off now, when would they? However, as soon as Zichun said, "Kill without mercy," everyone stopped. That was because those who had defended the family and expressed their loyalty had at most been heavily injured, and none of them had died. Of course, that was because Zichun hadn't killed them. However, with Zichun's murderous intent, anyone who dared to step forward would be courting death. No one dared to provoke Zichun anymore, and the entire He family became extremely quiet. Even those who were heavily injured no longer wailed. "Zichun, this time, I must go to the Holy Thunder clan to seek justice. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're a member of the Holy Thunder clan." The patriarch of the He clan gritted his teeth and said, "In this Holy Spirit world, there are rules. If everyone was like you, using their status to bully others, the Holy Spirit world would have been in chaos long ago. Do whatever you want, but today, I will only go after the remnants." Zichun stomped his feet, and the highest floor of the He clan collapsed directly, along with the buildings within a radius of dozens of miles. This was the residence of the patriarch, and its importance was second only to the Holy Master's cultivation ground. Now that this place was destroyed, it was obviously a slap to the entire He clan's face. This was a disgrace. For a moment, many people's gazes towards Zichun became filled with resentment. Zichun didn't care at all. He smiled faintly and said, "Oh, I don't agree with what you said just now, because I didn't use my status to bully others. I only relied on my own strength." After that, another building collapsed. At this moment, a person walked over from afar. He seemed to be in a panic, and his teeth were chattering when he walked. Earlier, he was sent flying by the Holy Master as a reward. However, he was soon pulled back by a force, and then he heard the Holy Master's order. The content of the message almost scared him to death. When he arrived at the scene, the one-star Holy Spirit mustered up his courage and said, "Under the orders of the Holy Master, He-Jean is incompetent. He is now removed from the position of the Patriarch." Once those words were said, the people that were originally burning with rage all turned to look at the person who had sent the message. One of the Holy Masters shouted angrily, "You bastard! What are you talking about? You are just a one-star Holy Spirit. How dare you talk big here? Do you believe that we will cripple you?" After being threatened, the Holy Spirit, who was originally very frightened, suddenly said angrily, "This is the Patriarch's order. If you have any objections, go and complain to the Patriarch." Who dared to go to the Holy Master Patriarch? For a moment, everyone looked at Patriarch He-Jean. They didn't understand why the Patriarch would remove He-Jean from the position of the Patriarch in front of everyone at this time. Some people understood. For example, the spectators who came for the discussion. Originally, Zi-Chun had already stopped. If it weren't for the Patriarch's threat, the He clan wouldn't have lost so much face. The Holy Master didn't show up for a long time. Obviously, he was restrained. As the Patriarch, how could he not see this? Now that he threatened Zi-Chun, wasn't he embarrassing himself? If he embarrassed himself, wasn't he embarrassing the Holy Master who was restrained over there? Looking further, if He-Jean didn't cause trouble at the beginning and blocked the people of the Holy Thunder Clan outside, even if he didn't receive special treatment, he could help persuade Zi-Chun when he came to find trouble with him. However, he deliberately embarrassed the Holy Thunder Clan and encountered Zi-Chun chasing after the remnants of the Demon Clan. This was too much of a coincidence. The He clan suffered a great loss in today's battle. Who would bear the responsibility? It definitely wouldn't be Zi-Chun. It couldn't be the Holy Thunder Clan either. Then, there could only be one person. For a moment, everyone looked at He-Jean. A moment ago, he was still the powerful Patriarch. But in the next moment, he became the scapegoat. The change was so fast that He-Jean and his people couldn't come back to their senses. It seemed that at this moment, face and hatred were meaningless. They had begun to calculate the gains and losses in their hearts. Because once He-Jean lost his position as the Patriarch, the interests of the clan would naturally be redistributed. I, He-Jean, will naturally follow the Patriarch's wishes, but this is not the time to talk about this. The enemy is invading, and we should work together to defeat the enemy. He-Jean snorted coldly. His words were wrapped in righteousness. Zi-Chun looked at He-Jean. "The enemy you are talking about, is it me? You used the Demon Clan as an excuse to deliberately cause trouble in the He clan. If you are not the enemy, who is the enemy?" He-Jean's voice was cold, and his eyes were full of resentment. "Come, take down the enemy first. He-Ding, you take over the position of the Patriarch. You handle this matter." Suddenly, the voice of the Patriarch of the He clan was heard. "Yes, Patriarch." The middle-aged man named He-Ding immediately had a touch of joy in his eyes. As for the Holy Spirits, who were originally about to attack Zi-Chun, they immediately retracted their attacks. He-Jean was completely dumbfounded. He-Ding cupped his fists to the sky and said, "May I ask Zi-Chun, have you found any traces of the Demon Clan here?" Zi-Chun shook his head and said, "Not yet." He-Ding said again, "Do you need our cooperation?" Zi-Chun glanced at the surrounding ruins and said, "You have already been very cooperative. I hope you will forgive us for disturbing you this time. Farewell, we will meet again someday." The clan still needs to be reorganized. This one won't see you off. No need. Zi-Chun left. The others were stunned. Chapter 4181. Zi-Chun left. Before he left, he cupped his fists and apologized politely. It was as if the He family had really cooperated with Zi-Chun to find the remaining demons. He-Ding began to instruct everyone to deal with the aftermath of the battle. He did not mention a word about Zi-Chun's trouble. The other representatives silently observed all of this. They had to admit that He-Ding was the smartest. As for that He-Jean, he was someone who couldn't think straight. He was happy to see He-Jean find trouble with the Holy Thunder Clan and embarrass the Holy Thunder Clan, but it did not mean that they would accept it. After all, the holy clans had existed for a long time. They were not to be provoked by a family that had mastered the art of making soul weapons. After instructing everyone to deal with the matter, He Deng turned to the representatives and said, "Everyone, I am very sorry. Such a big thing happened in the clan today. I am afraid that we cannot discuss it with you for the time being. Please give us a few days. We will make arrangements for you in the next few days." The biggest inn in the city was owned by the He family. It was not a problem to make arrangements for these people. The representatives all left. Now that the head of the He family had changed, there would definitely be internal conflicts. He Deng said that it would take a few days to settle down, but that was because the Lord was there. If the Lord did not say anything, this internal conflict might cause the He family to fall apart. Because He Zhan had been in charge of the family for many years, their interests were intertwined. It was very difficult to uproot them, but it was different with the holy sage. In the face of absolute power, He Zhan, the head of the family, could only be a scapegoat. In fact, this incident happened because he didn't handle it well. If he hadn't stopped Pei Wenyao from entering and deliberately humiliated the Holy Thunder tribe, Zichen wouldn't have torn down the door as soon as he arrived. When Zichen left, Cheng Ho also left. Pei Wenyao also left with Zichen. After leaving the city, the three of them stopped. "Let's go back. Don't worry about this. In the future, the He family will go to the Holy Thunder clan personally. Compared to the He family's weaponsmithing skills, we have an endless treasure trove." After hearing Zichen's words, Pei Wenyao calmed down a lot. "You're not going back?" he asked. "There's one more place we need to go. I'm guessing the demon remnants are hiding there." "I have to go take a look," Zichen said. "Are there really demon remnants?" Pei Wenyao asked in shock. "What else? Do you really think I'm here to cause trouble?" Zichen said in a low voice. "Perhaps in the near future, something big will happen in Saint Spirit World." After Zichen and Qing Yi left the area, Cheng Ho's figure appeared. He asked, "Where are we going next?" "To Wu Luo Starfield." Zichen's next target was the Chui family. The Wuluo starry space where the Chui family was located was a force that was relatively far away from the other major forces. In this starfield, there weren't any famous resources, and the Chui family's reputation couldn't be considered too great. However, the reason why Zichen was concerned about Chui Jing was because of the trip to the Lost World. Zichen had a relatively deep impression of Chui Jing. Zichen arrived outside the Chui family's mansion. Compared to that ostentatious family, the Chui family was much more low-key. Zichen walked forward. Outside the Chui family's mansion, there were 4 people guarding it. Seeing Zichen and Qing Yi arrive, the 4 people lined up. The leader said in a low voice, "Who are you?" Zichen said indifferently, "Those who are chasing the demon remnants. Quickly get out of the way." The 4 people were startled, very puzzled. Zichen didn't stop walking, but Qing Yi slightly slowed down her pace, moving half of her body away from Zichen. The person who came said something inexplicable and then wanted to break in. This made the 4 of them somewhat at a loss. After all, this kind of thing had never happened before. At this time, a person walked out from the mansion's open door. I was wondering who it was. "Isn't this the Grand Holy Thunder Clan's Lord Zichen? How come you have the time to come to my Chui family today?" It was an old man who greeted them with a smile on his face. The 4 guards, who weren't even holy spirits, were startled when they heard the old man's words. When they looked at Zichen again, their expressions changed. Zichen's reputation was too great. They had naturally heard of Zichen and had even evaluated him over tea. They hadn't expected to see the main character today. "You can all leave. This old man will personally receive Lord Zichen." The old man waved his hand. The 4 people clasped their hands in salute. As they left, they glanced at Zichen and Qing Yi. Anyone who could follow Zichen around was definitely not ordinary. "I wonder what Lord Zichen has come to the Chui family for?" asked the old man with a smile. Zichen said, "I'm pursuing the remnants of the demon race. I suspect they've run to the Chui family." "Oh, there's such a thing?" The old man's expression changed. Zichen said, "Do you think I'm joking with you?" The old man said in a low voice, "When it comes to the demon race, no one would dare to joke." Zichen said, "So, anyone who gets in my way will die?" The old man immediately stepped to the side. If Lord Zichun suspects the Chui family, please follow me. Zichun strode forward. The old man followed behind Zichun and said, when it comes to the matter of the demon race, this old man also has a zero-tolerance attitude. So, from now on, Senior Zichun, feel free to search. This old man will always be by your side. Zichun didn't say anything. He just kept walking forward. The Chui family's attitude was the complete opposite of the He family's. Zichun wanted to get angry, but he couldn't find the opportunity. But in this situation, Zichun was increasingly certain that the Chui family had something to do with the demon race. As Zichun walked deeper into the Chui family, more and more people heard that Zichun had come and came to see what was going on. Seeing Zichun act so unbridled in the Chui family, quite a few people had looks of dissatisfaction in their eyes. But they were only dissatisfied and didn't complain. This made Zichun feel very helpless. I'm going to take a look around here. Zichun pointed to a building. The old man's face had an awkward expression. What? Is it inconvenient? Zichun looked at the other party. It's the place of seclusion of a 9-star. It's not easy, the old man said. Zichun said indifferently, it's just a 9-star. I thought it was some big shot. If he's not happy, I'll just pull him out and beat him up. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Not long ago, I killed dozens of 9-star holy spirits who colluded with the demon race, and the sole weapon in their hands was also destroyed by me. Those who followed him all had angry expressions on their faces. Obviously, Zichun didn't give the Chui family any face. Catching the demon race spy is important. I won't discuss with you. Special times call for special treatment. Zichun walked straight in. Of course, he didn't knock on the door. Instead, he broke the door and walked in. He was undoubtedly here to make trouble. For a moment, all kinds of killing intent appeared outside, but they seemed to have received a mandatory order. No one took the initiative to provoke. The 9-star holy spirit who was in seclusion was awakened, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he swallowed his anger and let Zichun search. Of course, he found nothing. Zichun walked out of the room. Looking at the angry crowd, he said mockingly, "Do you not like me?" No one responded. Chapter 4182. If Zichun was provoking the 9-star saint spirit before, then Zichun was provoking everyone. Moreover, he was provoking them with a face that deserved a beating. It was as if he was saying, "Come and hit me?" Even the old man next to him was stunned. After all, he had been very humble and cooperative. He didn't expect Zichun to still be dissatisfied. Then the old man shouted, "Everyone, back off. Don't interfere with the Lord's search for the spy." How could there be a spy here? He's just making things up. He's deliberately using this excuse to make trouble for the Chui family. Someone in the crowd said angrily. His roar could be considered to have spoken the thoughts of many people. He was just making trouble. Why didn't they expel him by force? The old man's face immediately darkened. Take him away and slap him. Immediately, someone came forward and dragged him away. When the others saw this, they scattered. Zichun felt very bored. He thought there was still a fight to be fought. He didn't expect the Chui family to be so cooperative. Zichun. Suddenly, a voice came from not far away. Zichun turned and saw Cui Jing. "Why have you come to the Chui family?" Cui Jing seemed very surprised. She went straight to Zichun's side and bowed to the old man next to her. "I'm here to see you," Zichun said, "and also to look for the demon spy." "Demon spy? Our Chui family?" Cui Jing laughed. "Are you kidding? How could there be a demon spy here?" "Nonsense," the old man said in a deep voice. "Do you think this is a joke?" Cui Jing quickly restrained her smile. Zichun waved his hand. "It's no big deal. Since Cui Jing is here, let her take me around. Old man, go busy yourself with other things." The old man nodded. "That's good. Young people have a common language. Lord Zichun, if you have any orders, just tell the little girl. We will do our best to cooperate. Now, I will go to the manor to prepare some good wine and good dishes, just in time to let Sir taste our Chui family specialty." Zichun cupped his fist and said, "Thank you for your kindness, Senior. Zichun appreciates your kindness, but there's no need for a meal. We'll be leaving in a moment." There are still a few suspicious places we need to investigate. After the old man left, Cui Jing led Zichun and Qingyi around. Perhaps it was because of Cui Jing, but Zichun didn't go to those buildings anymore. Instead, he chose some shady paths. Looking at the playful Zichun, Cui Jing couldn't help but ask suspiciously, "Are you really here to look for demon spies?" Zichun laughed. "I was just kidding. I just wanted to see you." Cui Jing curled her lips and said, "You have a great beauty by your side, and you still say such things. Aren't you afraid the beauty will be jealous?" Zichun said, "Let me introduce you to my friend, Qingyi. Qingyi, this is Cui Jing. We've met many times in the lost world." Qingyi nodded with a smile. The two of them could be considered to have exchanged greetings. The three of them walked along the path in silence. Cui Jing seemed to be unable to bear the silent atmosphere. She asked, "Since you're here to find spies, why are you walking in a place like this?" "Finding spies is secondary. I have a question I want to ask you," Zichun said. Cui Jing didn't understand. "What question?" Zichun said, "Why didn't you attack back then?" Cui Jing said, "What are you talking about? How come I don't understand?" Zichun said, "When we first met, your people wanted to start a fight, but in the end, you didn't attack. I'm very curious as to why. Is it because you don't understand us, or do you think you have no chance of winning?" Cui Jing fell silent. Qingyi was very flabbergasted. She had thought that Zichun and this little girl would have some sort of love and hate story. She hadn't expected the two of them to have such a relationship. Zichun said, "There was another time when I was fighting in front of the last hall of opportunity in the lost world. At the time, you were standing behind me. Why didn't you take advantage of my weakness to attack me? I gave you a chance." Cui Jing's face suddenly paled. "You knew?" Zichun said coolly, "I don't have any other skills, but my ability to sense killing intent is incredible. I could sense your killing intent several times, so I gave you a chance. Even if I didn't have one, I had to create one for you. But what I don't understand is why you didn't attack in the end. My guess is that you must have some sort of trump card on you that could give me a fatal blow, right?" Cui Jing shook her head. "I don't know. I don't know the reason." Zichun asked, "Well, that leads to the second question. We've never met before, so of course there's no enmity between us. Why did you want to kill me? Or rather, why did the Cui clan target me?" Cui Jing shook her head again. "I don't know," Zichun said. "That means you just received an order from your clan, and we're just carrying it out?" Cui Jing nodded. Zichun's face was full of regret. "Then all the more reason you should have attacked. Even if you didn't succeed, I've always been merciful to women, so I wouldn't have killed you. Plus, you wouldn't have been punished by your clan after you returned." Cui Jing looked up at Zichun. "How do you know?" Zichun said angrily, "Who in the Cui clan doesn't know that I, Zichun, am here? Why have I come? But you don't know. Clearly, you're being punished like a prisoner." Cui Jing said seriously, "Zichun, you're too scary. I was right not to attack you. If my clan became your enemy, the entire clan would be in danger. You overestimate me and underestimate your clan." Zichun shook his head, then turned and began to walk back the way he had come. "Where are you going?" Cui Jing asked. "I've been away from home for too long. I want to go home." Zichun stretched lazily, then walked back the way he had come. "I'm a bit tired. I want to go home and sleep." Qingyi smiled and followed after him. Cui Jing didn't move. She didn't know what Zichun wanted to do. "What are you waiting for?" Zichun said without looking back. "Send me off. It's not like you can't find your way back." Cui Jing stamped her foot, but still followed him. Before coming, someone had said that as long as he completed this mission, his period of confinement would be over, and everything that had happened last time would be forgotten. Cui Jing followed Zichun all the way to the gate. Along the way, they didn't encounter a single person. Clearly, there were orders from above to avoid Zichun and not to provoke him. As they left, Zichun turned and looked at Cui Jing. He reached out and patted her head. "Girl," he said, "in the future, don't worry about growing your body. Your brain needs to grow as well. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your body." Cui Jing's cheeks flushed red. Just as Cui Jing was bashful, a voice entered her mind. "Since you didn't attack me, I'll give you a free rule of survival. Find a chance to leave the Chui clan. Chapter 4183. You didn't look carefully enough this time. After leaving the Chui clan, Qing Yi looked at Zichun. Zichun said, "It's useless to look carefully, because it's impossible to find. If the other party was really cooperating with the demons, they would have done it in secret. If Zichun could find the problem with a casual look, that would be a big problem." But the Chui clan's cooperative attitude was very questionable and very suspicious. Zichun had a vague guess in his heart. After leaving the Chui clan, Zichun saw Cheng Ho, who shook his head, indicating that he didn't find anything. Zichun wasn't surprised. "Where are you going next?" Cheng Ho asked. "I'm going back to the clan." Zichun said, "I don't know how long I'll be gone this time, and I have some things to take care of." After that, Zichun looked at Qing Yi, feeling very apologetic. He was going to accompany her on a trip, who knew that he would have to go back halfway. Qing Yi smiled and said, "We've been out for a long time, so I'm going back to take a look." Cheng Ho brought the two of them to the Holy Thunder Clan's territory. They didn't go directly to Zichun's world, and didn't even get close to the Holy Thunder Clan. Zichun was a bit puzzled. Cheng Ho said, "I've never liked that shrewd old thing. When you come out, I'll come to pick you up if you're still here." In the Holy Thunder Clan, the only one who could be called an old thing by Cheng Ho was probably Lei Zhenke, the ancient sage. He was the #1 person in the world, and everyone respected him, but when it came to Cheng Ho, he was an old thing. Zichun didn't say much, and the two of them said goodbye and left. After returning to the clan, Qing Yi checked the progress of the teleportation formation, and then went back. Zichun called Jolina over and told her that he had to leave for a while. He didn't know the exact time, so she had full authority to make decisions in this world. As for the teleportation array to the Holy Talisman realm, he could get someone to send a message to the Talisman Hall. At that time, both sides would discuss it. Jolina was very skilled and experienced in such matters. She was even more experienced than Zichun. In the end, Zichun said, "After a while, send someone to the Lightning Protector and bring back the resources that belong to me. Or, we can set a time for them to deliver the resources." Jolina memorized everything. After that, the two of them discussed some details, such as the future development of the world and the direction of the city. This even included the increase of cities. Zichun gave all the authority to Jolina, and finally gave instructions to Jono and the others. After that, Zichun left the Martial Heaven continent and went to the core city to see Fu Lao. The two of them discussed some more details. After the Palace Master's return, the Holy Talisman Hall's situation had improved. Coupled with the friendships they had formed with many Holy Talisman Masters, the Holy Talisman Hall's reputation had soared. As for Fu Lao, the Vice Palace Master, he was now worthy of his title. He had many experts under him. Hearing Zichun's words, Fu Lao said, "Don't worry, I'll pay attention to your world. After the matter of the lost world, I believe that no one will dare to make trouble for you." After leaving the Holy Talisman Hall, Zichun went to the Lightning Protector and had an agreement with the person in charge here. At the same time, he sent a message to Grace, who was far away in the lost world. After saying what needed to be said and doing what needed to be done, Zichun returned to the Martial Heaven continent. Then he went to find the vestigial race's Tasha and told her that he would be leaving temporarily. The vestigial race was currently able to rely on themselves in Zichun's world, but it was inconvenient for them to appear now. It would take at least hundreds or even thousands of years for them to appear. After chatting with Tasha for a while, Zichun left. At present, other than Jolina, no one else knew of the vestigial race's existence. Zichun came to the sky above the Martial Heaven continent. The power of the rules naturally appeared and isolated the surroundings. The little fairy appeared. "You can do whatever you want in the future, but when I return, I must see that world within a world appear." Zichun took out the soul-gathering crystal mansion and released infinite light. The little fairy's eyes suddenly lit up. This was something that it had coveted for a long time. It immediately pounced forward, but it missed. "I can let you devour it, but you can't touch the core," Zichun warned. There was a spirit inside. If the little fairy devoured it all, the old man who had guarded the Soul Palace for many years would disappear. Don't worry, I have more experience in dealing with this kind of thing than you. I know how to protect it. The little fairy excitedly took the soul palace. The shocking weight made its body sink, and it was even more satisfied. This time, Zichen did not bring the soul palace to the demon world. He only brought the Thunder Divine Palace and Yugue. Before leaving, Zichen also reorganized the equipment on his body. He took what he should take and left what he should keep. The leaves of the Tree of Lightning that he had obtained in the past were also left behind. To him now, these things were almost useless. However, in the eyes of the Holy Thunder Clan, they were still priceless. After doing all this, Zichen carefully thought about it again. After confirming that he had given out all the instructions and attention, he once again left the martial heaven continent. When he arrived at the agreed location with Chung Ho, when Chung Ho saw Zichen, he was very surprised. You came so quickly. I thought you would keep dawdling, at least a few months. Zichen said in all seriousness, when have I ever delayed the things that I've promised? It's just that. Zichen was a bit embarrassed. Chung Ho asked, just what? Zichen hesitated, then said, it's just that I've never been to the demon world, and I don't know what the situation is like there. Although I'm already an 8-star expert, I don't have anything to protect my life. If I encounter a large-scale pursuit, I'm afraid I'll die. Zichen, don't worry about dying. I'm just worried that I won't be able to complete the mission and lose face for everyone. Chung Ho said with a puzzled expression, why can't I understand what you're saying? Can you say something I can understand? Zichen said without any trace of politeness, I need something to protect my life. Otherwise, I won't go. Chung Ho sneered, why don't you just say you want benefits? Zichen said with a righteous expression, I don't care about benefits or not. I just want to be able to come back alive. Furthermore, I want to know a few things about the demon world. I want to know how they can discover that I'm not an invader. I can't explain that to you. We'll talk about it when you get there. Chung Ho said, as for the benefits you mentioned, I can give you some, but it depends on whether or not you have the ability to take them. Chung Ho grabbed Zichen's collar, and the two of them disappeared. When they reappeared, Zichen saw the tall Tree of Lightning. Chapter 4184. The Tree of the Lightning Ancestor was as tall as ever, and its trunk was like a wall that could block the wind. The tree was filled with fruits of all shapes and sizes, and they shone brightly. Han Nu was currently recuperating under the tree, and her face was unhealthily pale. No wonder Chung Ho had come to find him. Han Nu was injured. She was as cold as ice, and the air around her seemed to contain boundless frost. Han Nu opened her eyes, and when she saw Zichen, a smile appeared on her face. That smile was like a warm wind that melted away all of the coldness. Chung Ho curled his lips in disapproval. He didn't make things difficult for you, did he? Han Nu stepped forward and took the initiative to hug Zichen. Chung Ho's expression was somewhat nervous. Zichen was tightly hugged by Han Nu, and he slowly shook his head. He was very loyal. Chung Ho let out a sigh of relief and gave Zichen a look that said, at least you know what's good for you. It's good that he didn't make things difficult for you, Han Nu said. This time, I sent you to the Devil Realm because I couldn't find a suitable candidate. I had no other choice. Han Nu pulled Zichen to sit under the Tree of the Lightning Ancestor, and then she told him what had happened recently. Han Nu had received information that the Devil Realm seemed to be preparing a plan to deal with the Saint Spirit Realm, so she wanted Zichen to go. As for the source of the information, Zichen didn't ask. He believed Han Nu wouldn't lie to him. What's the situation in the Devil Realm? If I go in, will I be hunted down like a variant race member? Zichen asked the question that worried him the most. After all, any devil who came to this world would be hunted down relentlessly. There are spirit race members in the Devil Realm, just like the Saint Devil region of our world. As long as you don't deliberately reveal yourself, you won't be targeted, Han Nu said. Zichen didn't understand. What do you mean by deliberately targeting? Off to the side, Chung Ho looked at Zichen, who seemed to be trying to find something to talk about. He snorted. As long as you don't stupidly carve, I'm from the spirit race on your forehead, no one will pay you any attention. Han Nu stared at Chung Ho, as if she was blaming him for speaking too harshly. Don't listen to his nonsense, she said. It's not that exaggerated, but the logic was still the same. Zichun was relieved, but there was still one last problem. How could he come back? If you want to go back, where can't you go? In the demon-suppressing sect and the Buddhist race's battlefield, who will stop you? Chung Ho felt very awkward. At this moment, Zichun was still holding onto Han Nu's hand. Clearly, he was taking advantage of her. He purposely forgot that this might be because Lady Frost was holding onto Zichun. Zichun nodded again, indicating that he understood. After that, Zichun began to ask all sorts of questions. Occasionally, he would say something righteous, which made Han Nu giggle. Chung Ho watched the two of them holding hands, and his heart was filled with anger. He snorted coldly and said, "Didn't you say you wanted some benefits? Didn't you say that you couldn't come here for nothing?" Zichun scratched his head. "Did I say that?" Chung Ho's lips curled into a cold smile. "You didn't." Zichun suddenly understood. "Oh, I think you did. But after seeing Big Sister Han Nu and hearing her explanation, I decided to forget about it. Big Sister Han Nu has stayed here for countless years to fight against the demon race for the sake of the spirit race's grand plan. All I did was make a trip to the demon race's territory. If I asked for a reward, would I still be human?" Chung Ho couldn't say anything in response, as if he were the one asking for a reward. Just as he was about to defend himself, Han Nu said coldly, "Shut up. You don't have the right to speak here." Chung Ho obediently shut his mouth. But who could understand the grievance in his heart? This trip to the demon realm is indeed fraught with danger. But since I've been here all this time, I don't have anything suitable for you to protect yourself with. Han Nu seemed to be in a difficult position. Zichun immediately said, "I already said that I don't want anything. Compared to you, I'm nothing. Don't worry. I'll be careful." Chung Ho curled his lip. This guy was too hypocritical. As he spoke, Zichun looked up at the sky. The tree of the lightning ancestor covered the sky, and its branches were covered with dazzling, multicolored fruits. Han Nu's eyes suddenly lit up. "Got it." She looked back at the tree of the lightning ancestor. It stood there, motionless. Even its leaves were no longer trembling, as if it were dead. Chung Ho, who had taken in all of this, began to curse in his heart. This Zichun was really cunning. He actually used his eyes to warn Han Nu. This foolish woman thought that Zichun was a good person. Last time, he and the lightning ancestor had seen Zichun's true nature. He wasn't a good person at all. Looking at the motionless tree of the lightning ancestor, Han Nu sneered. "Oh, you're playing dead in front of me? You're quite capable. Do you believe that I won't let you live?" This was the true Han Nu, only in front of Zichun. Only then would she show her other side. The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. Perhaps this was a greeting. "What are you standing there for? Zichun wants to go to the demon realm. Why don't you hurry up and express your gratitude?" Han Nu said unhappily, "You're hanging so many fruits on your body. Is it just for decoration?" The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. No one knew what it meant. A cold aura surged around Han Nu, and the surrounding temperature plummeted. Faint white ice crystals appeared in the air. Only the air around Zichun was normal. Clearly, Lei Shu didn't agree. "I didn't hear you clearly. Could you please say it again?" Han Nu looked at Lei Shu. This time, her tone was a little gentler. The surrounding cold aura made Chung Ho shiver. He then retreated, holding the thought that this matter had nothing to do with him. During this time, he gave Lei Shu a thumbs up, as if to say, "Brother, you're really strong. You dare to challenge Han Nu." The tree of the lightning ancestor began to sway. A fruit fell on its own. It was unwilling, but it could only admit defeat. This was a black fruit. It seemed to be condensed by demonic energy and left the branch. The fruit fell like a bolt of lightning, directly charging towards Zichun. From the looks of it, even if Zichun didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Han Nu raised her eyebrows slightly. The fruit of extreme speed instantly stopped in front of Zichun. Then, it gently touched Zichun's forehead. The fruit disappeared. In the next moment, Zichun's entire body was enveloped in black light, as if he had been infected by demonic energy. Zichun stood there without moving. After the demonic energy of the fruit entered his body, it attached to his power. There was no sense of discomfort. It was as if he had put on a layer of clothing. However, this power was limited and couldn't completely envelop him. Zichen's body lit up. He had mobilized the power that had not been infected. The meaning was obvious. Chung Ho cursed in his heart. He believed that at this moment, Lei Shu's feelings were the same as his. Han Nu glanced at the tree of the lightning ancestor. The tree of the lightning ancestor continued to sway. It reluctantly threw out 2 more black fruits. Only then did it envelop Zichen's power. It was like a layer of disguise. Although he didn't look like a demon, he didn't look like a saint spirit of the spirit world either. Han Nu nodded and said, "With this layer of disguise, you'll be safer." Zichen was safe, but the tree of the lightning ancestor was heartbroken. These were the fruits it had obtained after devouring the saint spirit of the demon world. They were truly difficult to obtain. It didn't want to waste any of them, but it had indeed wasted 3 today. Han Nu looked up at the tree of the lightning ancestor and said, "This is just a disguise. Where's the life-saving one?" The tree of the lightning ancestor was furious, but he didn't dare to say anything. He could only drop another fruit. This fruit was extremely bright and contained a surging vitality. Clearly, it was a life-saving treasure. That's more like it. Han Nu was satisfied. Then, she reminded Zichen to be careful. Then, the tree of the lightning ancestor sent Zichen away. The branches fell from above and wrapped around Zichen's body, but only his feet were exposed. Thus, Zichen was thrown out by the tree of the lightning ancestor. Chapter 4185. Master, what are we going to do? Within a residence, a graceful woman was deeply worried. Her eyes were red from crying. Next to her, a man stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his brow furrowed. Do we really have to let little Qing go to the city lord's mansion? Will she be able to come out alive? The woman sobbed softly, her heart filled with grief. The man's face was filled with annoyance. You think I want to do this? You think I don't know where that place is? But the city lord's mansion suspects us of colluding with the Saint Spirit realm and has already sent people here. What can I do? But we don't even know where the Saint Spirit realm is, the woman said miserably. How could we have dealings with the spirit realm? If even you know this, do you think others don't? Do you think the city lord doesn't know? The man's face was filled with anger. It's all because the young city lord has taken a fancy to little Qing. I've told you many times that the young city lord has recently returned and that you shouldn't go out, but you didn't listen. Now, if we don't hand her over, everyone in the Lin family will die for colluding with the spirit realm. There was a knock on the door, and the couple stopped arguing. An old man walked in, his back stooped. Master, madam, he said, the city lord's people are urging us. If we don't let the young miss out, they'll go back. Once those people went back, the city lord's army would be waiting for the Lin family. How could this be? I've been abstaining from meat and praying to Buddha for many years. I've never done anything wrong. How could this be? The woman looked at the sky outside the window, her voice choked with sobs. You have the nerve to say that we have Buddha here? There are only devils here. You don't believe in devils, but you pray to Buddha. How could our days be good? Today's little Qing is your fault, the man said angrily. The woman clasped her hands together and murmured, Buddha, please protect us. Please protect us from this calamity. In this city, the city lord is the heavens. How can your Buddha be saved? Could it be that a powerful expert will fall from the heavens and save us from this calamity? Seeing the woman praying to Buddha again, the man's heart filled with anger. The steward suddenly looked out the window. The woman's expression changed. A person appeared in the air, descending from the sky. No, it fell from the sky. With a loud boom, the roof of a house was pierced through, followed by a scream. Oh no, it's Qinger, the man exclaimed and immediately rushed out of the room. The woman followed him out. The butler stood there, hesitating for a moment. He was one step behind the two of them, but he still followed them. Zichen did not expect that the way he came to the demon realm was actually upside down. He fell in headfirst. Furthermore, in order to take revenge, Lei Shu had purposely sealed his own strength so that he could only land freely. It crashed through a building and smashed into the pool. He wiped his face and looked around. This place was filled with mist, and he had no idea where he was. Suddenly, he saw a pair of eyes right in front of him. It was a pair of woman's eyes. They were very bright, and at such a close distance, he could even smell the faint fragrance of a woman. Zichun was slightly taken aback. What was going on? An ear-piercing scream rang out at this moment. The woman hurriedly retreated, and then a touch of white entered Zichun's eyes. Zichun was dumbfounded. Only now did he realize where he had landed. He wanted to curse at Lei Shu. At this moment, there was a bang. Someone rushed in from outside. At this time, the woman's body was wrapped in a coat, protecting that touch of spring. Thief! How dare you break into the Lin family and kidnap someone? A man barged in and shouted when he saw Zichun in the bathtub. The woman ran in after him. Seeing her frightened daughter curled up in a corner, she appeared to have fainted. Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding, Zichun hurriedly explained. He stood up, his body soaked. The steward came in after him. When he saw Zichun, he angrily roared, "You thief! How dare you defile my family's young miss?" Zichun was dumbfounded. What was going on? The old steward's roar startled even the man and woman. They both wanted to stop him. Clearly, they couldn't joke about their daughter's reputation. If word of this got out, their daughter would be ruined. Unfortunately, the commotion from before was too great. The people from the city lord's residence, who had been waiting impatiently for a long time, all ran over and saw this scene. "What's going on here?" asked one of them, his face gloomy. They didn't know how to explain. "Sir," said the steward, "this thief is trying to do something to my family's young miss. I hope you can understand." What? The people's faces changed. When they looked at Zichun, it was as if flames were spewing out of their eyes. The young city lord had ordered them to come here and take someone away. Now that someone was plotting something, they were angry, but also in a dilemma. Should they take the Lin family's young miss back under these circumstances? Zichun hurriedly explained, "It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding." "If it's a misunderstanding, then why are you in my family's young miss's room?" asked the steward. "I fell down," Zichun explained again. "If you weren't secretly spying on her, how could you have fallen down?" asked the steward again. Zichun opened his mouth, but didn't know how to explain. Was he from the saint spirit realm? Although these people all looked like spirits, they only looked like spirits. Who knew if they were actually related to demons? "You guys stay here and watch. We'll go back first." When they saw this, they immediately left. Lin Qing crouched to the side, sobbing. It was unclear whether she was frightened or wronged. "Get out here." The man looked at Zichun, who was still standing in the bathtub. Zichun had no choice but to step out. Without even thinking about it, he activated his power. His previously soaked clothes immediately became clean and tidy. Other than Lin Qing, the other three people's faces all changed. Because when this young man activated his power, they felt an oppressive aura. The man felt that this was a thorny problem. This lecher's cultivation level was not low. The woman's eyes also changed, as if they were filled with anticipation. The steward's expression flickered, then quickly returned to normal. "What do you think we should do?" The steward looked at Zichun, who had just stepped out. Zichun helplessly explained, "I really didn't do it on purpose. I don't even know you. How could I have spied on you?" Lin Qing's sobs grew louder. The man's eyes flickered. He seemed to be hesitating about whether or not to slap Zichun to death. But he was also worried that if he didn't kill him and angered him, what would he do if he did something extremely vicious? "Forget it. My family's young miss has had a hard life. You should leave." At this moment, the steward suddenly spoke up. The man was taken aback. He was telling him to leave? "Since it's a misunderstanding, then you should leave. In any case, given the Lin clan's current situation, every survivor is a survivor." The woman wiped away her tears. "Young man, you should leave." Chapter 4186. Young man, you should leave. You can't save us. This is our clan's fate. The woman continued, "Since you said it was a misunderstanding, we don't want to implicate you. You should leave." The man stared blankly, his expression changing. "Yes, you should leave," said the housekeeper. My poor young miss. Hearing this, it was even more impossible for Zichen to leave. And where else could he go? Perhaps this was the so-called fate that everyone spoke of. Zichen didn't leave. He asked for more details, and the woman told him everything. The young city lord had taken a liking to this girl called Lianqing and wanted to take her back by force. However, he didn't directly take her. Instead, he came up with a compromise. For example, someone in the Lian clan had colluded with the spirit race. This made Zichen very certain that he was in the territory of the demon race, because in the Saint Spirit realm, people would only say that he was in cahoots with the demon race, not the spirit race. If the city lord had such power, I wouldn't be surprised. But how could a mere young city lord have such power? Zichen didn't understand. The Lian clan isn't an ordinary clan. Why didn't they have any misgivings? Zichen's soul power had already covered the entire Lian clan. This wasn't a small residence. Young man, you don't understand. If it really was the city lord, he would have some misgivings. But the young city lord is a member of the demon snake army. He has the authority to patrol the entire demon realm. There are many examples of families being forced to commit crimes. The man sighed. This is the fate of the Lian clan, and also Qing Er's fate. By now, the man had seen some clues, so his sigh was especially long. His words were filled with helplessness and despair. Zichen had many questions to ask, but he didn't know how to start. He was worried that the Lian clan would see through his identity. After all, he was a true spirit race member. That young city lord you're talking about, did he just return? Zichen asked. The young city lord of the demon ward city, Huaidu apparently, he came back on a mission. But I didn't expect him to take a liking to our Qing Er. After the conversation started, Zichen learned a lot more. This city called Huaidu was very famous, but it had a bad reputation. Over the years, it had harmed many women in the city. The Hui clan's ancestors were from the spirit race, but in the past 3 generations, they had a bit of demon race blood. As such, they had become the city lord of this place. The current city lord, Hui Shanyuan, was the 2nd generation. In this world, the true demons were the upper echelons of the nobility. They had both power and influence. Huaido and the others were divided into different classes of demons due to their different bloodlines. The lowest status were the spirit race, who did not have any demon bloodline. In front of a true demon, Huaidu did not even dare to breathe loudly, so he could only bully the lowest level spirit race for fun. After the woman finished speaking, Zichen nodded his head. Only then did he take a serious look at Lianqing. She had already stopped crying, because compared to just being looked at before, her future situation would be even worse. Once they entered the city lord's mansion, it was hard to say if they could come out alive. She really was a beauty. No wonder the city lord's son had taken a liking to her. This made Zichen think of the scene when he went to the He clan. He had also used the excuse of looking for a foreign race, but he had not been as overbearing as the city lord's son. If that's the case, then I can't leave. If the city lord's son comes later, I'll help persuade him. Zichen decided to stay. In any case, he was a newcomer and had nowhere to go. The man said, "Young man, you should think carefully. Huaidu is a 2-star demon spirit, and he has a very bad temper. A demon spirit was also a holy spirit, only the name was different." Zichen smiled. "I'm Zichen. I've always had a good temper. I think that if I persuade him sincerely, he'll listen. I'm Lian Lijue. Many thanks, young hero." The man immediately cupped his hands to Zichen, who was willing to stay. As for the previous scene, both sides clearly did not intend to pursue it. After all, their daughter's life was the most important. The woman put her palms together and thanked the Buddha for his kindness. Seeing this, Zichen asked, "Madam, do you also believe in Buddhism?" The woman nodded. "For the past few years, I've been abstaining from meat and praying to Buddha, hoping that the Buddha will protect the Lian clan." Zichen laughed. "What a coincidence. I also believe in Buddhism. It seems this is fate. Young hero, please follow me. I'll arrange a place for you to stay," said the old steward. "There's no need. They're already here. Let's go take a look." As they walked out of the room, Zichen asked, "What's the Hui clan's reputation like in Demon Ward?" "They cover the sky with one hand. What else can they do?" Lien Lijue laughed bitterly. Here, the city lord was the heavens. One could only imagine how he handled things. The woman led Lien Qing away, while Zichun and the others walked toward the door to receive the city lord's son. Search the area. I saw the spirit race come in with my own eyes. Don't let him get away. Don't leave a single corner unturned. Before they even got close, Zichun heard the city lord's voice. Then came the sound of buildings collapsing, followed by panicked cries of alarm. Coming here and smashing things. This was too arrogant and despotic. Search. Don't leave a single corner unturned. After turning a corner, Zichun saw a young man laughing complacently. The people he brought were wantonly destroying things. Lien Lijue wanted to stop him, but Zichun stopped him. Let him smash things down. The people around them were still smashing things, but the city lord's son saw the three of them. He walked forward and said, Lien Lijue, I gave you face, didn't I? You colluded with the spirit race. How big of a crime is that? But this young master is benevolent and willing to give you a chance to change your ways. Let your daughter be a guest at my residence. What? Do you feel wronged? Isn't my place better than your dog kennel? And you can curry favor with the city lord's mansion because of this. Such a great opportunity is right in front of you. How can you refuse it when it's given to you? What? Do you think this young master will just let it go after humiliating me? You're too naive. Your shameless behavior has completely hurt this young master's good intentions. So, this young master has decided to find the remnants of the spirit race in the spiritual realm. The surrounding buildings were constantly collapsing. The purpose of these people was obviously not to find people, but to destroy. Looking at the places where they passed, not even a blade of grass was left. It was obvious that they wanted to completely destroy the foundation of the Lien family. Lien Lijue was anxious and his eyes were red. This was his family's property. Every brick and every tile was painstakingly built with resources. The butler stood aside and watched quietly. He was also very sad. Chapter 4187. Zichun had thought that the other party would back down, but he hadn't expected them to be completely intent on destroying the Lien clan. Thus, he called out to stop them. Of course, no one stopped. Those who weren't even sacred spirits moved with great agility. Building after building collapsed. Many people fled in panic, and quite a few children cried out in fear. Huaido glanced at Zichun and laughed coldly. Who do you think you are to dare point your finger at me? Zichun said, there should be a limit to everything, right? You've already destroyed so many buildings. Can't you calm down? Calm down? Huaido laughed coldly. I'm still angry. It's still too early to calm down. Zichun said, then when will you be able to calm down? When we find the spirit race spy, of course, Huaido said. You think I'm here to cause trouble? Actually, you're wrong. My goal is to capture the spirit race. If I can't capture the spirit race, do you think I'll calm down? You should know that I'm a demonic snake, and my only mission is to capture the spirit race spies. Zichun sighed. I thought I was arrogant enough, but compared to you, I feel like I'm still lacking quite a bit. That's because you don't have the ability, because you're not strong enough. Even if I raise this place to the ground, no one would be able to do anything to me. And afterwards, they would have to pay me a visit to apologize, and the woman I want would have to pay me a visit in person. Huaido looked at Zichun. Tell me, after going through so much trouble, even destroying your home, you still couldn't protect that woman. Why bother? Zichun stared at Huaido, his gaze turning cold. Lien Lijue stood off to the side, his heart filled with negative emotions. At the very least, this young man named Zichun didn't seem to fear the junior city lord. Perhaps there was still hope. Huaido continued. And who do you think you are? You dare point your finger at me? You say I'm arrogant, but that's because I have the right to be arrogant. I have the city lord's palace and the demonic snake army behind me. What do you have? Zichun's figure suddenly disappeared. Everyone's vision blurred, and in the next instant, Huaido's figure disappeared as well. When the voice disappeared, everyone finally reacted. They looked to the side and saw that there was a human-shaped mark on the wall. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Those who were smashing things also flew over. They surrounded the surroundings, not daring to enter rashly. The sound of footsteps rang out as Zichun walked out. He dragged Huaidu by the hair, leaving behind a trail of blood wherever he passed. Huaidu's 7 orifices were bleeding, and his aura was extremely weak. A dignified 2-star had lost half his life in an instant. Let go of the young master. The people from Hui Clan City were shouting loudly. Lien Lijue and the butler looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. To be able to take away half of Huaidu's life so easily, what kind of realm was this? 3 stars? 4 star? Zichun threw Huaidu away as if he was throwing away trash. He looked at the other party who was vomiting blood and said indifferently, I have no power behind me. I rely on my strength. The others stepped forward and helped Huaidu up. Some fed him pills, while others guarded against Zichun. Zichun stood there and looked at Huaidu quietly until he swallowed a pill and his complexion recovered a little. Only then did he say, Let's talk? Huaidu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, I'm not qualified to talk to you. Let me get my father here. Sure. Zichun nodded. Huaidu gave a look, and one of them immediately rose into the air and flew toward the city lord's palace. During this time, Huaidu did not say a word. Zichun said, I'm not used to suddenly not hearing anything. Do you want to continue smashing things? Huaidu continued to be silent, not saying a word. Zichun looked at the others. What about you guys? They quickly shook their heads. A single blow had taken away half of the city lord's life. If they had been in his place, wouldn't they have died? Since Huaidu had stopped talking, Zichun couldn't be bothered to waste his breath on him. Although he was good at reasoning, there was no way he could reason with these unreasonable people for the time being. In the distance, a woman quietly peeked out. When she saw this scene, her heart calmed, and she silently prayed for Bodhisattva's protection. Go, get a stool. Zichun looked at a person in front of him. That person immediately trotted away, entering the broken house and bringing out a stool, placing it in front of Zichun. Zichun said, You're close to the Holy Spirit realm. Of all things, you just had to follow this bastard. Sooner or later, you'll be screwed to death. While you're still alive, hurry up and find another way to make a living. That person didn't dare speak, because Huaidu's eyes were already spitting fire. He was angry that he had brought a stool for Zichun. Zichun sat down. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zichun. You don't need to know where I come from. You can even think of me as a spirit clan member. You still haven't found the culprit for the Lien clan's crime, right? You can count it on me. As Zichun spoke, the expression of the steward behind Lien Lijue changed subtly. Today, I just happened to pass by your treasured land. Since I ran into an unreasonable second generation like you, I have to take care of you. Zichun looked at Huaidu. You're so arrogant. People who don't know you might think you're a devil dragon. Who would know you're just a little devil snake? Huaidu's expression changed. Devil snakes had a very high status in the devil realm, but devil dragons were even higher. This person casually said the 2 words, devil dragon. Could it be that he had a great background? But before he could think about it, there was the sound of rushing air. His father, who was also the city lord of Devil City, had arrived. In addition to him, there were several sacred spirits in tow. The city lord descended. He first glared at Huaidu, then looked at Zichun. What happened here? He asked indifferently. Your son came here to capture spirit clan members, Zichun said. He destroyed my home. I tried to reason with him, but he wasn't willing to listen, so I punished him a little. The city lord snorted. You've got some nerve. You dare to act so righteously in my city? Oh, Zichun said, surprised. So, city lord, you don't plan on upholding justice? The city lord cupped his hands to the side. The Devil Snake Guard's job is to search for spirit clan members. Everyone in the devil realm has to cooperate. This is the rule of the devil realm. You dare to break the rules? Are you looking to die? As the city lord spoke, the sacred spirits he had brought with him spread out and surrounded Zichun. Huaidu, who had been silent a moment ago, suddenly spoke up. Father, I suspect that he's a spirit clan member. Since we have witnesses and evidence, we can capture him and confiscate the Lien family's property. Everyone in the Lien family must die for colluding with the spirit clan. Lien Lijue's face paled. He hadn't expected things to escalate to such a degree. The steward's expression was calm. Zichen shook his head. It seems that people like you can't be reasoned with, he said helplessly. As soon as he finished speaking, Zichen attacked. One punch, one sacred spirit. With a series of loud bangs, the sacred spirits nearby were sent flying. Chapter 4188. Zichen's fist glowed with pure black light, looking exactly like demonic energy. In fact, this was demonic energy, and it was the demonic energy of a demon sovereign. In the demonic realm, those who possessed pure demonic energy were all nobles. They were born to be superior to others. At this moment, Zichen's attack was as smooth as flowing water, like a true demon. The city lord's expression changed. Misunderstanding, my lord, this is a misunderstanding, he shouted. Huaido's face also paled. He had never expected this stranger to be a demon. He did not have the characteristics of a demon, but rather the characteristics of a spirit. Zichen withdrew his fist, then gently clapped his hands. Now you're willing to be reasonable? My lord, this is a misunderstanding. Really a misunderstanding. The city lord's face was covered in cold sweat. You came here to tear down someone's home. Is that also a misunderstanding? Zichen said calmly. We'll compensate. We'll definitely compensate. The city lord promised again and again. Zichen continued. But why do I feel like you're just using the spirit race as an excuse to do this for the young lady of the Lin clan? Also, aren't you being too careless? You don't even distinguish between a demon and a spirit race, and you're in such a hurry to frame her? The city lord immediately turned around and slapped Huaido several times. The sound was loud and clear, causing blood to seep out of the young city lord's mouth. A few of his teeth also fell out, but he did not dare spit them out. This was a matter of life and death, so the city lord did not hold back. Bastard, he scolded. You're so ignorant and incompetent. What use do I have for you? Then the city lord turned to Zichen and clasped his hands. My lord, I hope you'll spare my life on account of the fact that I'm a snake demon. Zichen laughed. See, this is what it means to be arrogant. What's that little trick of yours? But since you've worked hard for the demon race, I'll spare your dog life today. Of all things to learn, you tried to threaten and frame, but you've only scratched the surface. You're really a piece of trash. Speaking of which, Demon Snake was really blind to have recruited someone like you. Huaido lowered his head and did not say a word. He knew very well in his heart that at this moment, as long as he said another word, he might die. My time is limited, and I don't feel like arguing with you here. Now, I'm ordering you to do as I say. Zichen looked at the city lord. Your Excellency, please give me your orders. The city lord cupped his hands and said, everything destroyed will be compensated at 3 times the original price. Yes, from now on, you're not allowed to cause trouble for the Lin family. Yes. Now, immediately apologize. The city lord turned around and bowed deeply to Lin Lijue. Brother Lin, I don't mind disciplining him. I hope Brother Lin can be magnanimous. Seeing that Huaido did not react, the city lord immediately kicked him. Idiot, this is all your fault. Why aren't you apologizing? I hope Patriarch can forgive me. Huaido cupped his fists and apologized. Lin Lijue was at a loss. Fine, fine, fine. Both of you, get the hell out of here. The two of them stepped aside, and Zichen walked forward. Looking at Lin Lijue, he said, this is a misunderstanding. I hope Patriarch won't take offense. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't stay. I hope Patriarch can apologize to the young lady on my behalf. Your Excellency, you're making a fool of yourself. With the city lord present, Lin Lijue couldn't say any more words of gratitude. He simply bowed to Zichen. Zichen's body disappeared. After Zichen left, the city lord stood. Brother Lin, he said, I hope Brother Lin can find someone to tally up all the damaged buildings and send them to the city lord's mansion. We'll pay 3 times the original price as compensation. What are you talking about, city lord? No discord, no concord. Forget about the compensation. It's not like it's worth anything. Lin Lijue looked back at the steward, who quickly returned to the room and produced a jade box. Just a small token of appreciation. I hope Patriarch can accept it. No, absolutely not. The city lord hurriedly refused. If there's nothing else, we'll take our leave. The city lord grabbed Huaido and led him out of the ruined courtyard. The others followed suit. Just like that, a disaster was averted. Everyone in the Lin clan felt as if they had just survived a calamity. Only Lin Lijue was still deeply worried. Early tomorrow morning, he ordered, go and deliver the items to the city lord's mansion. Yes, master. The steward nodded and put away the jade box. The woman returned, clearly intending to tell her daughter the good news. The steward and Lin Lijue returned to the room. Seeing the worried frown on his face, the steward asked, the disaster has been averted. Why is master so worried instead of happy? The disaster is gone, but that Lord Zichun has already left. Who can guarantee that the city lord's mansion won't hold a grudge against our Lin clan in the future? Lin Lijue sighed. If they want to destroy our Lin clan, they'll have plenty of reasons to do so. Probably not, said the steward. That lord is definitely an important figure in the demon race. With his word, would the city lord's mansion dare to act rashly? Lin Lijue said helplessly, you said it yourself. He's a big shot. For such a big shot to appear in our place is a coincidence. Once he leaves, he might never return, much less remember us. When the time comes, even if something happens to the Lin clan, he won't know. That's true, but I think the city lord's mansion will have some misgivings. We'll just have to wait and see. Tomorrow, deliver the items and prepare a generous gift. While we're at it, we'll see. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. On the way back, the city lord didn't say a word. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he didn't dare. Huaido was also very cautious. He obediently followed behind the city lord. However, he was in a very bad mood. He had lost a great deal of face and might even become the laughingstock of the demon snake tribe. He couldn't swallow this insult. After returning to the mansion, Huaido wanted to say something, but the city lord angrily scolded him. You're not allowed to speak for 3 days, or I'll break your mouth. Huaido angrily walked to his room. Not being able to speak did not mean that he couldn't do anything. Therefore, the new beauties he found became the targets for him to vent his remaining energy. The city lord sat in his room, motionless. When it was late at night, he suddenly said, go investigate. An undetectable shadow disappeared. The next day, the steward came, but he didn't see the city lord. He only saw the chief steward of the city lord's mansion. The chief steward left behind all the items, but didn't manage to find out anything. The city lord looked at the items brought by the chief steward and sneered. This Lin clan really knows how to do things, but it's too late. 3 days passed, but Huaido still couldn't swallow his anger. He felt that these women were not as good as Lin Qing. After 3 days, he went to find his father. The city lord said, I've secretly investigated. That lord has indeed left. There was a murderous look in Huaido's eyes. If that's the case, then we can't let the Lin clan go. The city lord said, what if that lord comes back? I'm not afraid. I wasn't prepared before, but as long as we're fully prepared this time, we won't be afraid of him. Huaido said, I'm Demon Snake. My goal is to find the remnants of the Lin clan. As long as there's one of them in the Lin clan, it'll be enough. The Lin clan is full of Lin clan members, so it won't be difficult to find one. As long as the Lin clan is destroyed, I'll report it to Demon Snake as a merit. As long as Demon Snake acknowledges and rewards me, even if that lord finds out and comes looking for trouble, Demon Snake will take care of it. The city lord said, good plan, but let's wait, just in case. Then we'll wait for 2 more days. Huaido returned to his room and didn't leave for 2 days. On the 6th day, the city lord mobilized all the troops in the city to attack the Lin clan. This time, there was no need for evidence, just killing. Chapter 4189. Huaido put on his clothes and walked out of his room. The army had already been assembled. The city lord's father had not appeared. Capturing the spirit race was something only the Demon Snake Guard could do. Even if the other factions in the city had complaints, they could only complain and not say anything else. Because everything was reasonable and logical. Let's go. Huaido waved his hand. and the army rose into the air, moving out in full force to attack the Lien clan. Such a large commotion in the city naturally alarmed everyone. The Lien clan was the first to receive the news. For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. They had thought that the city lord's manner would at least give that person some face. Who would have thought that after just 5 days, they would attack the Lien clan? Everyone in the Lien clan had gathered together, men and women, young and old. Under these circumstances, there was no other choice but to wait for death. Sadness was spreading, and everyone was in despair. How could this be? Lien Lijue muttered, still in disbelief. The half-built gate and many other buildings collapsed. With Huaido at the head, the army descended from the sky. Huaido said indifferently, "The Lien clan colluded with the spirit race and violated a great taboo in the demon realm. Today, everyone must die." "Sir, this is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding." Lien Lijue immediately stepped forward. Huaido smiled indifferently. "A misunderstanding, is it? You can explain it to someone after you die." Seeing the other's resolute attitude, Lien Lijue said, "Sir said before he left 5 days ago that this was a misunderstanding. I hope that young city lord will give the Lien clan another chance." "Sir? Which sir?" Huaido mocked. "It's been 5 days, and that sir has already left. Also, what does the demon snake guard's search for the spirit race remnants have to do with anyone else? Not to mention that he wasn't here today. Even if he was, he wouldn't dare to interfere in this matter. Because I will kill him as well." Huaido raised his hand. "Also, you're too stupid. You're about to die, but you still dare to use that guy to pressure me. The right thing to do would be to have Lien Qing kneel in front of me and beg for my forgiveness. Of course, I won't forgive her. I'm just humiliating you before you die. After today, Lien Qing will be the only one left alive in the Lien clan. She will carry all of your hatred and resentment and live a life worse than death." Huaidu's hand fell as he uttered, "Kill." The soldiers in the city charged forward, and a powerful aura circulated. Almost all of these people were from the spirit race, and a few of them had demonic chi around them. The Lien clan was in complete despair as they wailed in anguish. The woman held the sobbing Lien Qing in her arms, as if she didn't want her to see the next scene. Death was upon them. Right at this moment, a strong gust of wind suddenly appeared. It was like a tornado, sweeping everyone nearby away. It also blew away the aura of death. "It's very lively here." A calm voice sounded as a person descended from the sky. It was Zichun. When the despairing members of the Lien family saw this scene, they all became excited. Who would have thought that my lord would not leave? Huaihai was dumbfounded and stood there in a daze. Zichun smiled and said, "You piece of trash, what are you trying to do now?" Huaidu's expression changed several times before he suddenly shouted, "Impudent! The demon snake guards are searching for spirit race survivors, and you dare interfere?" Zichen's smile didn't fade. "Spirit race survivors? Are you talking about me?" Huaidu said coldly, "If you don't move, I'll take it that you're stopping the demon snake guards from enforcing the law." "Oh, is that so?" Zichen raised his hand, and a black light flashed. Huaido let out a blood-curdling scream as one of his arms fell off from his shoulder. "You're courting death," Huaidu said angrily. "Everyone, attack!" "Hold it!" Zichen suddenly shouted. That idiot Huaidu, using the name of the demon snake guards to frame innocent people. Today, he will die without a doubt. If you leave now, I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, everyone who follows him in his evil deeds will die. This is your only chance to live. Don't listen to his nonsense. He's only one person. How can he fight against our army? Ah! Huaidu screamed again, but this time, his other arm was gone. "In the name of the demon snake guards, I order you to kill without mercy." Huaidu's eyes were red, as if he wanted to devour someone. "Kill." Someone let out a loud roar and charged forward. Black light appeared on Zichen's body. The black light flew forward like sharp blades, slicing through the bodies of the crowd. One by one, the people charging forward fell to the ground. Their bodies were no longer whole. They were all dead. Zichen hadn't held back. The others were terrified, and they retreated one by one. The members of the Lien family, who were at the back, watched this scene in shock. Damn it, are you trying to rebel? Keep killing. Kill them all. Huaidu continued to shout. The loss of his arms had made him lose all sense of reason. A few more people mustered the courage to charge forward, but the result was still death. When Huaidu saw this, he yelled, "Father!" An angry roar suddenly sounded from the city lord mansion. Then, a tall demonic shadow appeared in the direction of the city lord mansion. It was like a towering mountain, standing tall in the city lord mansion. Black gas surged and covered the sky, and the buildings in the city lord mansion were collapsing. The black gas continued to spread. Wherever it passed, life after life fell. In the midst of this, a light figure shot into the sky, trying to escape. It was the city lord. At this moment, his face was full of fear, and he only wanted to escape. The demonic shadow grabbed him. No matter how he struggled, no matter how he channeled the power of the saint spirit, he couldn't break free. The demonic shadow opened its mouth and swallowed him in one gulp. Before he died, the city lord only had time to let out a scream. Huaidu heard his father's scream and even saw the demonic shadow devouring his father. The rationality he had lost earlier returned. "My lord, this is a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding," he hurriedly shouted, hoping to make amends. When the others saw this, they immediately retreated. The city lord was dead, so why should they risk their lives? In the blink of an eye, there was no one around. Huaidu Zichun walked forward. Behind him, the Lien family members were in a daze. Was it really the city lord who was swallowed just now? The strongest person in Fiend Ward City was swallowed by the demonic shadow just like that? What was the relationship between the demonic shadow and the lord in front of them? Zichun walked up to Huaidu. Huaidu knelt on the ground with a thud. "My lord, please spare my life." Zichun crouched down and said in a low voice, "Actually, you and your father are both idiots. I humiliated you so much before, but didn't you realize that I wanted to kill you? Unfortunately, I'm not as vicious as you. I still have a conscience. I can't rest easy if I just wipe out your family. Fortunately, you didn't hold back and gave me a chance to make my move. Why family, right? Don't worry, after today, there will be no more of this family in Fiend Ward City." Huaidu's eyes widened. You're a demon." It was too late for regrets. If he could live again, Huaidu would definitely make another choice. Zichun stood up. Huaidu's body collapsed. Chapter 4190. The city lord was dead, and the city lord's mansion had been destroyed. The entire city was in chaos. The news quickly spread, and quite a few people were clapping their hands in glee. In the past few years, the city lord's mansion had done quite a bit of bullying. Which one of the city lord's mansion's members wasn't arrogant? Today, the city lord's mansion had provoked someone they shouldn't have. They deserved to suffer. Huaidu was dead. Zichun stood up and turned to face the Lien clan. "This time, we really have to leave." Lien Lijue nodded, then bowed deeply to Zichun. Everyone in the Lien clan bowed to Zichun. This was a true life-saving grace. He had saved the entire Lien clan. Zichun exclaimed in surprise. He suddenly turned around and crouched down again. He searched Huaidu's corpse and found a black medallion. The medallion was engraved with the image of a vicious black snake. At this moment, the snake's eyes were bright, as if it were a real, living creature that had been sealed away. "You've hidden yourself quite well." Zichun smiled faintly. "If it weren't for the fact that my soul is extraordinary, I wouldn't have been able to detect a strand of soul energy hidden here. It seems that this is how you demonic snake guards do things. You can't kill me. I'm a demonic snake guard. Our army is heading to the city. If you kill me, the demonic snake guard won't let you off." The black snake within the medallion spoke. It was Huaidu's voice. Zichun's lips curled up in disdain. "Who are you trying to fool? Do you think the demonic snake guard's army would be mobilized so easily? We've been investigating the spirit race remnants recently. This is an unprecedented operation, so it's only natural that the army would be mobilized. We will appeal to all of them." Huaidu continued, "Let me go, and I'll let this matter rest. Otherwise, even if you kill me, the demonic snake guard will come looking for you. The demonic snake guard has never been merciful to their enemies." Zichun continued. So it's not just the demonic snake guard that's been mobilized. The other squads have been mobilized as well. Huaidu's expression changed. How do you know? Zichun crushed the token. He had no clue at first, but now he had found a clue. As long as he followed the army, he might be able to find his own mission. He crushed the token and completely destroyed Huaidu's soul. Behind him, the nervous Lin family members heaved a sigh of relief. If Huaidu was allowed to live, then everyone in the Lin family would be on tenterhooks. Now that this matter is over, we will take our leave. Zichun cupped his fists at the Lin clan members and left in a flash. This time, he was truly leaving. Everyone in the Lin clan knelt on the ground and saluted the black shadow that was about to disappear from their sight. They were unwilling to get up for a long time. The woman kept chanting Amitabha and praying for Buddha's protection. Looks like this time around, the Buddha race had truly manifested. Lin Qing looked at the black that was about to disappear in the sky. She felt very regretful that she couldn't thank him in person. Just as Zichun left the city, a black light fell in front of Zichun. It was Yugue. What happened just now was its masterpiece. Let's go to the next city. Zichun took out a jade scroll with clear markings. This was what he had taken from Huaidu besides the map. It also contained all of Huaidu's wealth. Yugue hadn't killed everyone in the city lord's manor. He had only chosen a few of the higher realms to devour, leaving the rest alive. But now that the city lord was dead, the Hui clan's power was gone. The forces in the city that had been like sheep in front of the Hui clan would turn into hungry wolves and devour the Hui clan bite by bite. Zichun didn't need to worry at all. The forces that had devoured the Hui clan wouldn't give them a chance to make a comeback. They might even destroy the Hui clan completely in secret. This wasn't something that Zichun could care about, and he wasn't in the mood to do so either. To put it bluntly, the Hui clan had reaped what they had sown. They had only themselves to blame. Along the way, Zichun saw many spirit tribe members. On the contrary, he saw very few demons. These spirit tribe members weren't in a good situation. In the Saint Spirit domain, there was a Saint Devil region. Almost all of the Devil race lived there. The existence of the Saint Spirit domain had always treated the Devil race there as equals, just like the Saint Beast region. Zichun's friend, the Devil Ape, could be considered a demon as well. But it was different in the demon realm. The status of the spirit tribe was obviously very low. There was a very strict hierarchy here, and the spirit tribe was the lowest. They were even inferior to pets. From the map, this was the outer region of the demon realm. It was understandable that there were very few real demons here. The distance between the demon city and the demon city was 1,000 miles. Ordinary spirit tribe members had to form groups to cross between the two cities. They would also encounter some strange beasts from the demon realm along the way, so it was very dangerous. This gave rise to many mercenary groups that were specifically responsible for protecting the people coming and going. However, to a sacred spirit like Zichun, such a short distance was nothing. Along the way, he helped a team that had encountered danger kill a few strange beasts. Then, Zichun headed straight for the Devil City. After entering the city, Zichun found that the atmosphere here was obviously different. It seemed to have become very tense. Along the way, he could see some armored soldiers patrolling. Moreover, in every team, there was an existence with the blood of the demon race. Although the bloodline was very faint, walking into a tavern, the owner was a spirit tribe member. He didn't have the aura of a demon. The tavern wasn't very big, but business was good. Zichun found a seat and sat down. He ordered a pot of wine and 2 side dishes. Almost all the customers were spirit tribe members. Only 4 people at a table had the aura of a demon. Their bloodline was even fainter than the patrolling soldiers outside. Those spirit tribe members don't know what's good for them. They dared to sneak attack the demon snake guards. Once they are caught, they will suffer a fate worse than death. Zichun had just sat down when a loud voice came. It was one of the 4 people. Isn't that right? They have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. Speaking of which, the spirit tribe members have always been timid. When did they become so bold? I heard that they are the real spirit tribe members. They are all vicious and merciless. If you ask me, don't waste so much effort. Isn't he hiding? Then kill every spirit tribe member you see. I don't believe that he won't come out. There are many spirit tribe members in the demon city. If we really want to kill them, how long will it take? So what? Just kill them slowly. Anyway, the spirit tribe members deserve to die. The four people were chatting, but they didn't care about where they were. They spoke very loudly, as if they wanted others to hear them. Almost all the customers were spirit tribe members. Their eyes were filled with anger, but no one dared to act. In this city, and even in the entire demon world, the spirit tribe had the lowest status. No matter what the reason was, as long as there was a conflict with the demon race, the spirit tribe would always be at a disadvantage. In this city, for countless years, many similar things had happened. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a demon race member? One of them suddenly stood up and shouted angrily at the surrounding customers. Everyone lowered their heads. Why is there suddenly such low-level trash? How unlucky. Let's go. We'll go to another tavern. The four people immediately stood up and left the tavern, cursing and swearing. Bill? No way. Dare to ask? Chapter 4191. This was the true situation of the spirit race in the devil realm. Zichun sat there quietly, drinking wine, watching, and listening. After the four of them left, Zichun continued to hear more and more news. Only now did he understand why the city had been placed under martial law. Apparently, last night, there had been an attack. Apparently, a spirit race individual had attacked the demonic snake guards. A few of them had been injured, and one had died. To the demonic snake guards, this was a great humiliation. Thus, they were on high alert. Someone who dares to attack the demonic snake guards must at least be at the demonic spirit realm. If I had that kind of power, why would I be a spirit? I'd just go by some pure demonic energy and become a demon. A demonic spirit realm demon? One of the patrons said, a look of yearning on his face. Even if your bloodline isn't pure, you'd still be a guest of honor to countless powers. At the very least, you'd be able to be like those guys, drinking wherever you go. Who would dare to charge you? The previous group of demonic spirits had, by chance, acquired a portion of demonic energy that caused their bloodlines to change. That was how they had reached their current status. Another jug of wine, Zichun called out softly. Coming. There were 8 tables in the store. The owner was a middle-aged man, and the shopkeeper was a single person. A jug of wine was placed in front of Zichun. Zichun raised his head to look at the shopkeeper, then said a word of thanks. The shopkeeper laughed. It's hard to find a young man as polite as you these days. Zichun smiled back. Business isn't so good, is it? The shopkeeper sighed and said, it's not easy to do. Those who left before were not the only ones. The man pointed at his surroundings, and a smug look suddenly appeared on his face. My shop used to have 3 clerks at its peak. Zichun pointed to an empty seat. Want a drink? How could I? Although he said this, the shopkeeper had already sat down. His eyes were shining as he stared at the wine. He casually grabbed a small bowl from next door, then chuckled. Zichun picked up the jug of wine and prepared to pour it. No need, no need. How could I trouble a guest with such a small matter? The shopkeeper hurriedly took the wine jug and poured half a bowl for himself. Then, he picked up the bowl and took a sip. Good wine, really good wine. If he didn't praise his own wine, should he wait for others to praise him? Zichun continued to take small sips. To be honest, the taste of the wine was not that great, but because he was in a different world, he could still drink it. Young man, have you just arrived at the demon city? The innkeeper put down the bowl and asked. Zichun nodded. I heard that the demon snake guard was here. Something big seems to be happening, so I came to join in the fun. It's not that easy to join in the fun here. If you make a mistake, someone might die. The innkeeper lowered his voice and said, plus, this time, the matter is pretty big. I heard that even the higher-ups of the Devil Snake Guard are here. If they can find that person, it'll be easy, but if they can't, they'll probably find a scapegoat. Based on past experience, most of them are new arrivals. Zichun smiled faintly and said, my cultivation level is low. Even if I'm a scapegoat, I don't have the qualifications. You're quite open-minded. The innkeeper poured himself another bowl of wine. This was already his 3rd bowl. He had no intention of being courteous to Zichun, nor did he have any intention of stopping while he was ahead. After Zichun ordered 2 more pots of wine, the innkeeper's mood became even better. He directly told the new customers that they would not be doing business today. Zichun asked doubtfully, "If we don't do business, where will the profits come from?" As the saying goes, 1,000 cups are not enough to drink with a bosom friend. When you're with someone you hit it off with, what does business count for? The innkeeper said righteously. Actually, his real thought was that even if he continued to do business, he wouldn't be able to make much money today. If a few more people like the ones from before came, he would definitely lose money today. Now that there was good wine and good food here, even if he only drank half of it, he would still make a profit. This kind of wine was not easy to sell, because the price was not cheap. "Do those people come here often?" Zichun asked. Naturally, he was talking about the 4 people from before. "I go to all the shops on the street. If I run into a demon shop, I'll take a detour. I don't pay for the spirit shops. Occasionally, when I get bored, I'll go to the next street for a change." The innkeeper drank another bowl of wine in a sorrowful manner. "And no one cares?" Zichun was still sipping his tea. "The spirit race people live like dogs here. Who cares?" The innkeeper sighed again. He poured himself another cup of wine. "What if all the spirit race people here wanted to obtain a strand of pure demon energy and become a demon?" He pursed his lips. Unfortunately, many people spend their entire lives accumulating wealth and still can't get a strand of demon energy. Most people are bullied for their entire lives until they die. The innkeeper sighed emotionally. Actually, he was just sighing. He had seen far too many things like this, and his heart had long since calmed down. Since the customers wanted to hear, and he had good wine to accompany him, he naturally could tell them as much as he could. Using a few miserable stories to accompany the wine was actually quite good. At the very least, it was quite tasty. During this time, the innkeeper went to pay the bill twice. Before leaving, he would finish the wine in his bowl, leaving not a single drop behind. In the end, only Zichun and his table were left. They had already drunk 6 jugs of wine. The innkeeper's alcohol tolerance was surprisingly high, and he drank 4 jugs by himself. Seeing that the innkeeper still hadn't had his fill, Zichun said, "2 more jugs." The innkeeper was overjoyed. He had made a killing today. He hurriedly brought over 2 jugs of good wine. After opening them, he poured a small bowl for Zichun. Most of the time, Zichun listened. The innkeeper talked about the tragic events of the spirit race, and then sighed emotionally. Zichun didn't say anything, and just listened silently. After the innkeeper drank more than half of the last 2 jugs of wine, the jugs finally reached the bottom. Zichun asked, "Did the demons really never pay the bill?" The innkeeper snorted. "It's true that they didn't pay the bill, but what kind of demon are they? At most, they're fake demons. Sometimes, compared to the real demons, they're even more despicable." Zichun stood. "Since that's the case, I'll pay them all together." "Really?" The innkeeper's eyes lit up. He had thought that drinking wine for free was already a great thing. He had never imagined that there would be an even better thing waiting for him. He slapped his cheeks, as if in disbelief, and stared at Zichun. Zichun nodded, indicating that it was true. The innkeeper hurriedly expressed his thanks. "Do you think this is enough?" Zichun took out an item and placed it on the table. When he saw the item, the innkeeper's expression changed. It was a stream of energy, black energy. It was extremely pure, and it pulsed with the aura of demonic power. This was the pure demonic power that the customers had spoken of earlier. It was a power that many people would find difficult to obtain in their entire lives. But now, Zichun had taken out one. "What is the meaning of this?" asked the innkeeper. He, who had been somewhat drunk, seemed to have sobered up. "You're using such a valuable item to pay for the wine? The restrictions here aren't very tight. They shouldn't be able to last much longer." Chapter 4192. It wasn't a coincidence that he had come to this tavern. As he was passing by, Zichun had sensed a strange energy fluctuation coming from the tavern, so he had entered out of curiosity. Perhaps other people wouldn't have been able to see anything out of the ordinary, but Zichun had sensed that the innkeeper's aura was unstable. He had most likely been injured. Combining that with what he had heard, He guessed that the innkeeper was the person the demon snake guard was looking for. Only by refining demonic energy and becoming a demon would he be able to rid himself of this suspicion. Otherwise, as the innkeeper had said, even if he wasn't the real culprit, the demon snake guard would still find him as a scapegoat. Zichun had no intention of getting involved in this matter, nor was he able to help. All he could do was give the energy he had obtained from Hui Clan City to the innkeeper. Perhaps it would save his life. Once he was targeted and refined, it would be too late. The innkeeper watched Zichun leave, his mood somewhat complicated. He looked at the energy again and laughed. I thought he was just a silly kid who had never seen the hardships of the world, but he was actually a hidden expert. It seems that I, Yuan Hai, made a mistake this time. He picked up the energy and examined it carefully. That old man said that if I made a mistake even once, I wouldn't be far from death. If I wasn't mistaken, this should be pure demonic energy from the demon snake guard, and it's only sold internally. Is he one of the leaders of the demon snake guard? You're here to recruit me this time? Or did he kill a demon snake guard and obtain this energy? But since my fate has already been decided, I can't become a demon. Let alone me. Xiaoshan, you can't agree, right? Yuan Hai put away the energy that Zichun had given him, then walked behind the counter and pulled out a jar of wine from a hidden compartment in the corner. The wine was sealed with mud, and it was covered with dust. It was impossible to tell how long it had been stored there. Little Sean, this is something that Father personally brewed and stored away when you were born. It comes from an ancient legend, supposedly from the Saint Spirit realm. That is the place where our spirit race lives. The spirit race living there are all equal, just like the demon race in this world. It's said that this wine is called Daughter's Red. It's stored on the day of your daughter's birth and can only be opened on the day of your marriage. Unfortunately, Father has waited for hundreds of years and still hasn't seen that day. Yuan Hai gently exerted his strength, causing ripples to spread out. The mud seal fell off, and the aroma of wine wafted out. Wait patiently for Father over there. Father will be there soon. If you don't drink it today, you'll never have it again. Yuan Hai picked up the wine jug and began to pour the wine into his mouth. He did not pour it quickly, as if he was worried that the wine would spill out. Zichun left the tavern and strolled leisurely. Occasionally, he would go to a shop and buy some street snacks. Two people stood in the sky, silently watching this scene. In fact, they had been standing there for a long time, looking down at the people entering and leaving the tavern. Both of them wore green robes embroidered with the image of a black snake. One of them held a black bead in his hand. The bead constantly emitted ripples, but the ripples did not spread out. Instead, they merged with the surrounding space. Find out who the other party is. Seeing Zichun leave, the person holding the bead said. The other person just nodded and did not do anything. After a while, he said, it is said that he is an outsider who just came to Demon City. He invited Yuan Hai to drink a few jugs of wine and asked about the spirit race. Yuan Hai told him a few stories about the spirit race. It is said that the young man was quite moved. He decided to find a place to rest first. He found a nearby inn. As soon as the sky darkened, an army surrounded the street where Yuan Hai's tavern was and slowly approached. The area was already under martial law. Yuan Hai sat at a table with a jar of wine beside him. There was not a drop left in it. The air was filled with a faint wine fragrance. His eyes were filled with reminiscence. His expression was changing. Some were happy, but most were painful. Just come in. The door isn't closed. What are you hesitating for? Yuan Hai threw away the empty wine jar beside him and stood up. The people hiding outside immediately swarmed in. There was a huge boom. The roof of the tavern flew up and exploded in the sky. During this time, there were also figures flying backward. The aura of a 3-star Holy Spirit erupted. Yuan Hai waved his hand, and a beam of Holy Spirit light flew forward. The dozens of demons that came after him were all cleaved in half. What's the point of sending these ants? Why don't you just send out your devil spirits? Yuan Hai moved forward, killing in all directions. He did not show any mercy. One demon soldier after another fell. At this moment, on a nearby street, there were 4 drunken fellows who were walking unsteadily. Suddenly, a person fell from the sky and smashed in front of them, scaring the 4. The four of them subconsciously wanted to curse out loud, but when they saw the armor on the person who landed, their expressions changed. They looked up at the sky. They saw a person standing in the sky, killing in all directions. That is, even if it was dark, the four could still see the face of the person clearly. One by one, their faces changed greatly. It turned out to be the shopkeeper named Yuan Hai. When did he become so powerful? At this moment, Yuan Hai glanced at the four. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chapter 4193. The four demons, who had taken advantage of everyone, only saw a blur in front of their eyes before they fell to the ground. There was no sign of life. In front of the serious Yuan Hai, they should have died hundreds of times. He could kill them with just a thought. The battle was still going on, which alarmed many people. They appeared on the street and saw Yuan Hai in the sky. They were very surprised, especially those who knew Yuan Hai. He had always been a nice guy, but he turned out to be a hidden holy spirit. Zichen, who heard the commotion, opened the window and looked at the sky. He didn't expect the battle to happen so quickly. The speed of the demon snake guards was much faster than he had imagined. However, when he thought of the previous experience of being tracked, everything seemed to be explainable. The demon snake guards had been watching the shopkeeper for a long time, but they didn't immediately capture him. Zichen only took a glance at the battle, then used his soul power to scan the surroundings. He sensed the problem. At this moment, two people were playing chess in the city lord's mansion. The two of them wore green robes with black snakes embroidered on them. After joining the demon snake guard, everyone would be given a set of armor. As their status rose, the armor would change into an even simpler long robe. The material of the long robe was much better than the armor. Moreover, there were several different grades of robes. The eyes of the demon snake on the robes of the two people were red. There were also some embroidery on the robes, which was very beautiful. These robes were almost comparable to the best of the best, indicating that the two people were extraordinary. They were the demon snake guards, not the masters of this mansion. The real master stood respectfully to the side, watching the two masters play chess. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Just a few days ago, when the demon snake guards suddenly arrived, he was stripped of his position as the city lord. The two masters sitting here began to control the entire city. The chaos outside was already in their plan. They even saw the encirclement yesterday. The reason why the one called Yuan Hai was able to succeed in his sneak attack wasn't because of his strength among the demon snake guards, but because the two masters deliberately let him go. Unfortunately, the other party did not follow the plan. Instead, he hid in his own kennel, so he could only rush over again. The sound of footsteps could be heard as someone walked in. Respectfully, he said, "We've already begun to chase them away as planned. However, they seem determined to fight to the death here. Even though we've left an opening, they still haven't fled." The man with his back to the city lord raised his hand and said, "Search again?" "Yes." That person quickly left. "Hao Guang, will this method of yours actually work?" asked the person on the other side. The existence named Hao Guang said, "Don't worry, we'll definitely catch the big fish this time." But he's already made up his mind to die. He clearly doesn't plan on running away. "What we're doing now will only make him kill even more people," said the other person. "He doesn't plan to escape, but that doesn't mean others won't come to save him," Hao Guang said, taking a step back. "Even if nobody came to rescue us, we still killed a 3-star evil remnant, didn't we? When we go back, it can be considered a big merit. As for those people, let them die. After all, there are too many people in the devil realm." The city lord stood to the side, silently listening. He didn't say a word, nor did he dare to say anything. "Right. Have you checked the people who went to the tavern today?" Hao Guang suddenly asked. "There weren't that many people to begin with. I've checked them all. There doesn't seem to be any problems," said Emoji Feiwen, who sat across from him. Emoji was a family name that was quite famous in the devil realm. It was said that many years ago, there was only the Ji family and no devils. It wasn't until a devil lord appeared in the Ji family that they changed their surname to Emoji. Similarly, Hao Guang, who sat across from him, came from the Yin devil family. That was how he was recognized in the past. Emoji Feywin thought of something. This Yuan Hai has quite the guts. Just today, in order to drink a few cups of wine, he actually closed the shop early and drank with a young man who came to the city for the first time. The two of them drank 8 jars. A young man? Emoji Feywin frowned. Don't worry, it's just a young man. His cultivation level can't be that high. Emoji Feywin smiled. Our people have been watching him for a long time. Right now, he's resting in the tavern. For a young man to come at this time, there might be a problem. Emoji Feywin frowned. If it's him, then our plan will really be ruined. That can't be, right? Emoji Feywin said in surprise. No one would be so brazen as to send a message. Wouldn't that be too stupid? This is a special time. If necessary, capture him and interrogate him. We should be able to get something out of him. The two's conversation ended here. They both raised their heads and looked off into the distance. A powerful aura had appeared in that direction, one that didn't belong to the demon race. He's here. Emoji Feywin's eyes lit up. The fish has finally taken the bait. What do we do now? Emoji Feywin asked. Continue to stop them, but still give them room to escape. This time, we're going to wipe them out. What about that young man? Should we capture him and interrogate him? Ignore him for now. Continue to send people to keep an eye on him. Once the trail is cut off, capture him. If we can't get anything out of him, just kill him. No one cared about the death of a spirit. Go. Don't come any closer. Yuan Hai, who was bathed in blood, looked off into the distance and suddenly yelled. A man with a full beard suddenly shot up into the air. He was a 4-star holy spirit. Your life has been miserable to begin with. Do you really think I'll just watch as you die? What's the point? It's just one more person going to die. Yuan Hai shook his head. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved, but he also felt very guilty, because once he came, he wouldn't be able to leave. The man's body surged with killing intent. If I die, then I die. Before I die, I'll make sure to pay up. The man's body glowed with light as he charged at Yuan Hai. Wherever he went, demons fell from the sky one after another. Many buildings were smashed with holes, causing screams to ring out from time to time. Demon bastards, open your dog eyes wide and look carefully. I am Emofeng of the spirit race. I specialize in killing you bastards who bully the spirit race. If you have the ability, then jump up one by one. I guarantee that you won't see the sun tomorrow. Obviously, this was a group taunt aimed at all the demons in the city. And at this moment, many of the spirit race residents in the city were extremely excited, because a spirit race expert had finally stood up. Ziqian, who was in the room, was moved. These words were very inspiring, but also very tragic. With the strength of the demon race, it wouldn't be long before the two of them died. In the city lord's mansion, the two vice commanders heard Emofeng's voice. Emoji Feywin said, "Such provocation, why don't we get rid of one first?" Chapter 4194. A quarter of an hour passed and the battle was still going on. Moreover, it was very intense. A lot of demons died. Most of them were soldiers of this city. Yuan Hai repeatedly killed some Earthrealm existences. These people were all fake demons who deliberately bullied the spirit race. Zichun felt that something was wrong. According to the strength of the demon snake guards, they should have killed the two of them. However, they kept sending people to their deaths. Why? What are they waiting for? At this time, two demon snake guards soared into the sky and blocked Emofeng and Yuan Hai. Both of them were holy spirits. They were both 3 stars. Following the appearance of the two demon snake guards, the others spread out and surrounded them. Go to hell. Yuan Hai and the demon snake guards exchanged a palm. The powerful rebounding force directly pushed Yuan Hai back. In a confrontation of the same level, Yuan Hai was clearly at a disadvantage. Zichun was not surprised, because this was the demon world. The power here was naturally more inclined towards the demon race. Even in the Saint Spirit world, the existence of the Saint Devil region was very powerful. What made him surprised was that the 4-star Emofeng was actually at a disadvantage against the 3-star demon snake guards. This made him very surprised. After all, the two of them were an entire realm apart. Today, the two of you will die here. The demon snake guard standing in front of Mo Feng said coldly, "Want me to die? Are you worthy?" Mo Feng said with a face of ridicule, "Do you know why I am called Mo Feng? Because no one wants me to go crazy. Also, after I go crazy, even I am afraid." As his voice fell, Mo Feng's hair began to fly. He roared loudly. His facial features began to distort. His entire person was in a state of extreme insanity. The aura around his body suddenly became berserk. It seemed that the quality of his aura had also increased a lot. Mo Feng's eyes turned red. It seemed that he was about to enter a state of insanity. The surrounding space was like boiling water, beginning to distort violently. "Go to hell, demon bastard!" Mo Feng roared angrily and punched. His opponent's expression gradually became serious. He did not dare to be careless. He crossed his hands to block. Demonic power circulated around his body, forming a protective barrier. With a loud bang, the barrier was instantly broken. The three-star demon snake guard coughed out blood and flew back. "You little bastard, eat my fist too." Mo Feng, who had sent out a punch, rushed towards Yuan Hai's opponent. This time, he sent out a palm strike through the air. The huge palm print moved forward and swatted away the second three-star devil snake guard. "Let's go," Mo Feng shouted loudly. Yuan Hai shook his head, obviously not intending to leave. "You idiot, do you want to kill me? I've used my last trump card. Hurry up and follow me." Mo Feng roared loudly, then madly flew out of the city. During this time, all the demons that were blocking his way were all sent flying by him. Yuan Hai followed and cooperated with Mo Feng. The current Mo Feng was roughly equivalent to a peak 5-star martial artist. When he went crazy, it was comparable to raising one realm. He was indeed terrifying. He was currently madly killing his way out of the city. The blocking force became stronger, but Zichun, who was standing at a different height, noticed that the demon snake guards were intentionally letting the two of them go. When they were about to reach the outskirts of the city, Mo Feng's aura suddenly became weak, as if he was exhausted. At this time, the third Holy Spirit appeared and forcefully brought the two of them out of the city. "Demons heading towards the demon city, your grandpa is going to leave. Don't worry, grandpa will return. The next time I return, it will be the time when you idiots who bully the spirit race die." Mo Feng's speed was getting further and further away. Many demons in the city were on tenterhooks when they heard that. They were thinking if they had bullied the spirit race recently. It seemed like there wasn't a day that they hadn't bullied them. Now, the spirit race had also sent experts, and they had even escaped alive. This was troublesome. Many demons were thinking if they should treat those lowly spirit race a little better in the following period of time. After the three of them successfully left the city, the experts that had been hiding in the sky all along followed one by one. Those experts were in groups of 2, and one of them was holding a concealment bead in his hand. In this city, there was a protective array, so even Zichun was unable to sense that there were people hiding in the sky. After leaving the city, the bead's concealment effect was still present, but it was far from being in the city. A few souls with keen soul power would be able to sense the abnormality. Other than that, there were also a few experts who followed the flow of people out. The pursuers in the city also swarmed out. In the city lord's manor, the chess game between the two vice-commanders was still at a stalemate. Mo Yin Haoguang threw away the chess piece in his hand. He stood up and said, "The fish has taken the bait. We should go out for a walk." Emoji Feiwen laughed. "Seems like this time we will have a big harvest." The two of them left the city lord's manor. "Why did the two of you come?" While escaping, Yuan Hai asked in astonishment, "Didn't we say before that once in a dangerous situation, we are not allowed to help?" The weak Mo Feng coldly said, "You think we want to go because of Old Blind's idea? He said that we must save you, idiot, so we can only go." Yuan Hai shook his head, saying, "According to the information I received, the demon snake guard this time has sent many experts. It shouldn't be like this. I suspect that this is a trap. By the way, where are we going?" "To find Old Blind and meet up with him first. We'll talk about the rest later." The other Holy Spirit said. "No." Yuan Hai's expression changed, saying, "This is definitely a trap. The reason we were able to kill our way out is not because we are strong, but because they did it on purpose. Their goal is old Mister, our camp. Emofeng said. Who cares? In any case, this is old Blind's idea. We just have to do as he says. Yuan Hai was still a bit hesitant. Emofeng said, you don't believe in old Blind's divine ability? If it was before, Yuan Hai would of course believe it. But after what happened today, he was a bit hesitant. Old Mr. divined for me before. When I misjudged, I would die. Today, I already misjudged once, but I still managed to kill my way out of the city. Clearly old Mister's divination is not 100% accurate. If we go back to old Mister now, we will definitely be tracked down by the demon snake guard. At that time, they will uproot our camp. Even an idiot like you who came to die can see the problem. How can old Blind not see it? Emofeng impatiently said, if you want to go back and die, we won't stop you. If you don't want to die, then shut your mouth and obediently follow us. Yuan Hai shut his mouth and didn't say another word. They went straight to the camp. Outside the camp, an old blind man stood there quietly.